And we are back. You know, they tried. Joe Biden himself tried to stop this show by making me sick, by infecting me with what some have called the common cold. But you know what? We're not going to let it happen. So we are back here tonight, and we will be reacting tonight to the biggest whatever podcast here to date, okay? John Doyle, typical Chase. We love Chase. And then on the other side, Destiny and some other people. So let's get right into it tonight. Stay tuned. It's going to be a fun stream tonight. Live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dao Show. I am your host, Vince Dao. And before we begin, as usual, everyone be sure to leave a like right now on the stream and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We do this show live every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to join us if you are new to the channel. Now, I know we did not do a show last night because as I posted about on my community tab, people have said, "Oh, Vince, you had a cold. Your voice just sucked. You know, you're sick." What an excuse. No, listen. Okay. As I said in the intro, Joe Biden himself, and I have insider sources that confirm this. Okay, Joe Biden himself worked with the Chinese government. Okay, he worked with the Chinese to get me sick to try to stop the show. Okay, I know this because when I was flying out of LAX on Sunday to come home to Florida and come back to our regular studio, literally, there's this one guy, very suspicious, very shady at the time, who was like, "Oh, hello there, Vince Dao. Hello. Good to meet you." I was like, okay, very interesting interaction. I'm convinced that man was a double agent. Okay, they were trying to infect me with the Brandon virus, but it did not work. It canceled one night of the show. So true. But anyways, in all seriousness, we are here back. As you can probably still tell, my voice is a little bit, wonky, whatever. I also have not shaved. So for the people who want me to grow a beard, I had to return from my fight with a common cold, and I was a little bit, what's the word? I forget the word right now. Whatever. We're back. Okay, it is good to be back. Now, if you want to super chat the show, one last thing before we start and get into this podcast here. If you want to super chat the show, it's greatly appreciated. You can do so on YouTube, or if you want me to keep more of the donations, and in case we get demonetized, me to actually receive the money, because that's what YouTube will do. I don't know if you guys know that. And all donations tonight and this month are going to the podcast studio fund. We've raised about like $200. I want to set up a podcast studio in the living room. We've raised about $200 so far. I've bought the first 2 mics and some of the equipment. So again, you guys want to donate so we can have the Vince Dao. I haven't thought of a name of it though, but the Vince Dao Podcast Studio Fund. It's all greatly appreciated. God bless you. All right, enough of that. Let's get into this whatever podcast. But let me check the time really quickly. Actually, let me check the super chats really quickly because I don't want to go too long without them. All right, Burgundy Blue for $2 says this is going to be a very interesting stream. It is so true. It is so true. And Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian dollars says John Doyle on the whatever podcast based. Thank you guys for the donations, and it is true. We'll have to get into it in a second here. However, yesterday, I do have to talk about this. Yesterday, I did get this donation on Streamlabs that, never was on the show, just for the podcast studio. So, Joanna, could you please read that for me, please? Thank you.
Mutant Master Race donated $10.
Interesting
Here's
name,
some
by the way.
money for the podcast studio.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it very much. Again, if you want to donate for the podcast studio, feel free to. It's appreciated. All right, enough beating around the bush. Vince, why don't you start the show? Okay. We're starting the show. Let's get into the whatever podcast here, chat. All right. So I did not watch this whole thing. It's like 5 hours or whatever. I did watch about the first few minutes to know this is where it starts to get interesting. So they start debating kind of the issue of homosexuality. Is it destroying the West, quote unquote? Now, a little bit of an introduction here to these panelists, which honestly, I don't know all of them, but Actually, it's not showing my mouse. I wish it was. Okay, on the right, we have Destiny. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with Destiny. Typical bread tuber, liberal YouTuber. You know, we've kind of poked fun at him before. But here he is on the podcast. To his right, I believe that's actually his wife, which we will talk about in a second. I don't know who the girls are here. I think they're just random girls. The guy in the suit, I don't know his name. I've seen him before on these podcasts. I think he's some red pill guy. I'm not sure. And then there's Mary from Tim Pool's show, John Doyle, good friend of mine, Sovereign Bruh, Chase, you know, the base Christian guy who's always owning them. And then if you look over here in the corner, okay, this corner all the way right here, for some reason this whole podcast, there was just an Asian girl with a World War I helmet the entire time, and she was just sitting there. I don't know what the purpose was of that. That was just strange. I don't know what she's doing. All right, anyways, with that said, context out of the way, let's get into this. By the way, guys, I might make this a 2-hour stream since I didn't do one last night. We'll see how this whole thing goes. Okay, we'll see how this goes. All right, enough talking. Let's get into it. Wait, hold on. I just realized the audio. I think you guys can hear it, but I have to, hold on. I have to change it where I can actually control it.
So-called sexual marketplace and the decisions that men make in it because women are the gatekeepers of sex.
Okay, can you explain?
Okay. Now, I want to be able to actually control the audio on my end. So, all right, there we go. We should be good. All right, sorry about that. All right, let's start here.
I don't know about you guys. I would personally say off the cuff things that like degenerate the stability of society, right?
Things that are contributing to the fall of the West.
Yes.
Okay, but
So like give some examples, Chase.
Yeah, like this is still a very
What'd you
general
say?
definition.
Some examples.
Examples of degeneracy.
Examples of degeneracy, I would say like women getting ran through in their 20s. I think polyamory is degenerate, no offense.
True.
I think it has if it was to be widespread throughout society, I think it would really tear and rip at the fabric of society and things would fall apart very quickly.
Don't like, isn't it like 20%?
Hold on. Homosexuality, transsexuality, and then like, you know, stuff like alcoholism, addiction, all these kind of things.
Really
like I think all of that's degenerate, you know.
Okay.
That's how I would define
and
it.
your definition of degeneracy is basically if everybody did it, then society would fall apart, and that's why it's degenerate if just one person does it.
It's degenerate for both society at large and also for individuals, right? Like homosexuality, for example, there's a lot of homosexuals that have early mortality because of the diseases that are associated with homosexuality. You could also say the same for people that have, you know, do rampant fornication, get STDs through that. It's degenerate for the individual as well, and it starts to wear apart at their body, their mind, their soul, all these things, right? It's very unhealthy on an individual level and on a societal level as well.
And
That's a very good articulation of it, which Chase, obviously, we love Chase. But that's very well put, and that's very well said, right? This concept of quote-unquote degeneracy, it does not just degenerate society, which it does. As we know, I mean, honestly, you can look at so many civilizations, whether they hit total downfall like Rome, or some period of civil war, or the rise of some crazy dictator, whatever it is, a lot of them, at the times, you can point to degeneracy, oftentimes, usually sexual degeneracy, but degeneracy kind of being a leading force in the downfall of that society. So anyways, while I'm on this screen, Burgundy Blue for $10 says, fast fact, the country of Bolivia is named after the liberal revolutionary conqueror Simon Bolivar. I actually am aware of that. He's a national hero in and liberated Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia from Spain. It's so true. Didn't he try to set up an empire like in South America and then it fell apart very quickly? Imagine what could have been. Imagine what could have been if that was all, if they all joined forces there. $1 for $2 says, Vince, show the picture I sent you to the show. All right, I'll show it in the super chat portion. Okay, guys. All right, thanks for the super chats. I'm going to try not to read everyone as they come. I'm going to try to go a few minutes and then stop for super chats so we don't interrupt everything. But all right, let's get back to this.
You're worried about this specifically degenerating the West? Like homosexuality, you know, all of this cuckoldry?
I would say
Yes.
the evidence is
It already
abundant.
is.
The evidence is
degenerating.
abundant that it
look
is
at
currently
Hollywood.
degenerating the
It is
West.
already degenerating at a massive rate.
Yeah,
Yes.
gender bending, sodomy, homosexuality, these things have never happened in Europe. That's so true.
They
There
have.
were symptoms of like the declining societies. I mean, we're not the first.
I mean, yeah, they have, and that's a big thing that took down Rome. you know, and they will often bring this up. Well, this stuff has always existed. Yeah, it's always existed. And a common theme is it's been something that brings down society, right? And I'll tell you why it brings down society. It's not just totally random that the concept of sort of sexual liberation, correlates so often with the downfall of certain civilizations. Rome as an example, the modern United States as an example. And it's because I think there is something inherent in the concept of sexual degeneracy, sexual liberation, you know, the type of stuff being debated here, that what is it fundamentally? What it is fundamentally is giving in to your most carnal impulses, right? And then really making everything about those impulses and ultimately making everything about yourself, right? My immediate instant gratification is what is most important. And so, you know, the long-term duty, obligation that is involved in, you know, monogamy, having a family, getting married, all of that stuff, that sort of stuff is totally ignored for the concept of, oh, in Rome, we're just going to have these gigantic orgies everywhere. Everyone's going to be polyamorous all the time. No one's going to really start families. If they do, they're going to all be broken apart. And then the same thing in the United States, right? And the reason I think that spills over, or you could argue one is a symptom of the other, whatever, is because that's not just a society sexually that's being incredibly selfish. That means it's a society that's also being selfish in other different areas. And so you could correlate, I don't know what you want to say the causation is, chicken or the egg, which came first, but that's why you can very often correlate a sexually degenerate society to one that is degenerating in other ways, because it reflects the mindset of the people, right? If the people are thinking to themselves, you know, let me choose instant gratification and hooking up and orgies and all the stuff they did in Rome and Sodom and Gomorrah everywhere, right? Instead of saying, you know, let me have healthy relationships, let me get married, let me do all that stuff, you will see that manifest in other areas. You will see the fact that if nobody has impulse control, right? If everyone is just chasing constant immediate gratification, then that's not just going to be a sexual thing. That's going to be in other areas, right? So that means people are conning each other because they just want money. They don't care about anything else. People are thinking in the short term. They're not thinking the long term, right? They're not the old men planting the trees. You know that whole proverb. It's not a proverb, but you know what I mean. You know that old ancient saying, right? So that's why I would say this concept of, we'll call it sexual liberation, because I think we understand more so what that means, and that might be a better term for it. It is degenerate, but just to explain to you kind of what concept we're talking about here. That's why it's very often correlated with the downfall of societies, okay? And that's why it's not just about people being gay or people being polyamorous or whatever. That's why it reflects, again, a symptom of a greater cancer that takes down a civilization, okay? That's why. It's not, so people, you'll see them bring this up. Oh, why sex this, sex that? It's not a big deal. That's why it's a big deal. That's why there's a correlation there. Just saying.
First people to think that you can like have sex with a guy or change your gender. I mean, there have been sexual revolutions in different capacities throughout history, and no society has ever survived those types of revolutions, typically like a sign of the decline happening.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Do you think our society is on the brink of collapse?
I don't know if I would say the brink. I think that's alarmist, but we're definitely headed in the wrong direction.
Every marker of a healthy nation, America's heading in the opposite direction.
Just because of what people are doing in the bedroom.
I don't think that
it's not.
That's such a first world. You know, the typical naivety of a college girl, right? What's wrong with society? I think everything is good. Are you? I mean, hey. You know, maybe there was a time in this country. You could even argue like the 1960s, which there was a lot of liberalism going on in the 1960s. But you could even argue, you looked at Boomer Grandpa, I guess it wouldn't have been Boomer Grandpa, what generation then? Silent Generation Grandpa. And he's saying, man, this country's really gone to heck in a handbasket. You could maybe look then and say, okay, come on, Grandpa. I know things are a little more liberal now, but like, you know, we're still the superpower of the world. Everything's still good. There's still an American dream. Under what facade are you going to look at the country now and kind of pretend, no, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not on the brink of collapse. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. By the way, let's get the stream to 100 likes. Yes, we are.
Just because of that.
By every metric, economic, social, political, geopolitical, every metric, we're not doing well. We're about to default on the debt, probably. Is that what healthy countries do? Do they default on their national debt? I didn't think so.
Do you
I
think
think it's too sophisticated.
Yeah,
I
I
disagree.
was about
That's
to
part
ask,
of
do you
it.
think these things are what were the cause of collapse, or do you think that there are other factors like economic factors or factors relating to, like, let's say, illness, disease, widespread that might be?
Again, I just explained, so I'm not going to do it again, but I just explained why those are connected, right? That why those, yes, it is true. Sex is not the only thing taking down society, or attitude towards sex, I should say. That's not the single thing taking down society, but it's reflective, again, of the way people are thinking and approaching issues, right? And so if they're choosing instant gratification over the long-term prospering of everyone around them and honestly themselves, then that's going to bleed into other areas. And honestly, you look at the United States today, you can see that in everything, right? What's one of kind of America's big sins, you could argue, today, besides the just sexual, all that stuff? I would argue it's love of money, it's lust for money, right? And I don't mean that in the sense that the socialists mean it. Oh, if someone is rich, that's bad. I mean it in the sense that, you know, the food in this, for instance, just as one example, the FDA, the food in this country is completely poison, okay? Most of the common chemicals we use in our food in this country are banned in the European Union because they're labeled carcinogenic, can't cause cancer, right? But in the United States, because the lobbies for these different things have bought out the FDA, we're literally poisoning our entire country via the food supply, right? You wonder why cancer and obesity, all that stuff, just because so-and-so lobby is you know, and then is paying for it. And nobody steps in to stop it, right? That's a symptom of what? A selfish society only, you know, wanting short-term gratification. That's our attitude toward everything in this country. Short-term gratification over the long-term benefit of anything, you know? And that reflects in our attitude towards sex, but it also reflects in our attitude towards something like money, you know, chasing profit versus chasing the net good of human beings. And again, I don't mean that in a socialist sense. I just mean that in some of the ways I see consumerism destroy our country, right?
The cause or the causes of the society's falling.
National debt. One last thing. National debt, same thing, right? Spend so we can win the next election, you know? Change the interest rate so we can win the next election. Bail out the banks so we can win the next election. Don't actually do what's long-term good for the country, short-term gratification. See what I'm saying? It's not just about sex. Which these panelists should have brought up, but maybe I should have been on it.
The only disease killing America is like the woke mind virus, where everybody's just like trying to
So
be so
true.
fucking woke.
I like how we said there was a literal disease killing America that like
Kind of
conservatives
is.
wouldn't even recognize.
It
as being
kind of
actually
is.
true.
Come on, because even you, like,
also
as
the
like
obesity
progressive. Hold on,
crisis,
as progressive as you are, like you see, sometimes these people are too fucking crazy.
I fight with them all the time.
No,
but
I
I also
agree, I agree.
recognize that like conservatives are literally telling people not to get vaccinated, but we think that like gay people are like ruining society more than that. But
Well,
they
there's good
Not
there's
all
good reason for that.
Whoa.
Though. Yes, there is.
Tell us the
YouTube?
reason.
Well,
Why is gay
YouTube
people
I
ruining
saw
society?
one woman take the
That
vaccine.
wasn't what I was speaking to.
Listen, I saw one woman.
Hold on. We're just going to avoid YouTube TOS, okay? You guys know. By the way, Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian says Destiny was almost as insufferable as a two feminists next to his wife in this podcast. He clearly thinks he's much smarter than he is. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian, Daniel McQuaid. It is true. You know, every time I attack him, people are like, Vince, go easy on him. He's one of the good liberals. I don't know what people are talking about. I can see how they say that with like Bill Maher. Okay, like sometimes I do feel sympathy towards Bill Maher to a degree. But I feel like Destiny, I've never really seen him say anything that's all that, oh, he's actually kind of in the middle. I really haven't, but who knows? Whatever. Also, he has blue hair. He still has blue hair. Oh, he did it for charity, Vince. Well, is it going to go away anytime soon? Anyways, let's continue. Again, you want to super chat the show? Appreciate it very much. All going to the podcast studio fund, all right?
Especially with like Hollywood and TikTok is like predominantly used by teens, and the algorithm is sort of catered towards left-leaning ideals, like, oh, there's this, there's that, and it's sort of teaching kids that this is what you have to be, this is the right way to think, and it sort of shames them into forming their own opinions.
I mean, it's controlled by it's controlled by China and ByteDance. Like the actual Chinese TikTok, Douyin is actually feeding their
I still don't know
population
why the
way
girl is
different
back
stuff,
there
like
in the helmet.
engineers, scientists, like these kids over in China, like the number one career they want to be is like
when we start our podcast, I'm going to do this, okay?
Yeah,
I'm going to find some
the
Asian
TikTok
girl
algorithm
and just have her wear
fifth generation warfare that China is
World
using
War I
to
helmet.
Continually
divide
Just
America and push us towards
It'll be our little
a
joke.
collapsed civil
Everyone's
war
be like, what's
scenario.
the
Talk
point
like
of that?
mainstream, like regular people
This is
behind
our
the
point.
firewall in China. They don't fucking like America at all. And they're like totally down for Chinese domination.
Wait, do
We're
you
their,
guys
hold
not-
on. We're their biggest trading partner. Where do Chinese
We're
people
kind of
send their?
losing focus though, because this is a dating podcast. So
Well, but
we
I
need to
think it's
recalibrate.
important because it's never just a dating podcast. I noticed this with a
She's
lot of this kind
supposed
of
to
like uphill
be
stuff. Is it, like,
Archduke Franz
everything-
Ferdinand.
I didn't cut you off for the record.
Is this the Hollywood Archduke Franz Ferdinand? This is what they're doing. The new World War I movie, chat. It's going to be played by an Asian woman. All right.
I wanted to hear your perspective.
You
Yeah.
just
Oh no,
did,
I didn't
though.
see you coming up. Did you?
No.
Oh,
Just
just in
continue
general,
with
just
your thought,
general.
please.
Yeah, there's like, it's never just about like dating or just about TikTok. It's always got to be part of this grander plan to like I like how we get into this conversation like, well, what about your relationship? Well, I think this is causing the fall of the West, and it's like, holy shit! Like, gee, I didn't know a guy
Real.
like getting fucked by another dude is like causing like America to lose its position as
I'm
like
so
the head of the
curious how
hegemony.
that works. Can you
It
show
really feels
me?
like
Well, again, I explained how that is the case. Just one more time for the people who are new in the chat. Let me just quickly reemphasize. It's not just because two gay men are having sex or people are having orgies. It's because, again, that attitude of short-term liberation and gratification over something long-term and dutiful, like raising a family, like, bearing children, that spills into the rest of society. If that's how society thinks, then all around, what is it going to be? It's going to be a selfish society. It's a hedonistic society. People are addicted to short-term pleasure, not long-term anything. Not anything long-term that is good and healthy. That's the reason why. But anyways, since I'm paused, we might as well check the super chats really quickly. Dollar for $2 says, Steven Tyler used to be our guy, unlike John Lennon. Did he used to be our guy? Is he not still our guy anymore? I'm not sure, but thank you for the $2, okay? So true. Sing with me, sing for the year. So true. My voice can't go that high, but how does it go? Dream on, dream on. So true. All right. Brandon Gross for $10 says porn has also destroyed society from an online experience. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And by the way, a guy on this panel, John Doyle, has a great video on that. But yeah, porn in many ways is destroying our society. And again, let me reiterate this. It's not just, they're watching porn. Porn fundamentally alters your brain. That's the big thing about it. And you can research this. It kills your brain cells, shortens your attention span, just screws you up mentally, right? So it's not just, they will constantly try to say all this stuff is in a bubble. Why do you care so much if people are doing this or that? But it's not all in a bubble, right? As porn being a great example, and what it does to mental health and suicide and your brain chemistry and all the screwed up stuff online porn is doing to young men. Again, this is not just a matter of, why are you so mad that two gay people are doing this? There absolutely are outside effects. All right, last super chat here. Daniel McQuaid 279 for 279 Canadian says, all liberalism is bad. It's as simple as that. So true. So true. All liberals, all libtards are literally mentally ill. I don't hate liberals. I feel sad for them that they're mentally challenged. Shout out if you know that reference. Anyways, let's continue.
Everything is like tied into like these
I want to
grander
know
global narratives.
why
and-
is gay sex causing damage to society?
Okay, so that's a great question. What I would say is the family is at the bedrock of civilization as a whole. If you have a nation full of healthy families, then you're going to have a healthy nation, right? But there's an attack on the nuclear family. Feminism is a prime example, right? Feminism is something that divides men and women. It causes a lot of tension in households. And as a result of that that's one thing that contributes to broken families. If you have a nation that's full of broken families, you have a nation that's slowly going to fall apart, and we see that happening right now.
Aren't a lot
What
of
does
like
that have to do with
aren't a lot of
homosexuality?
heterosexual like marriages ending in divorce anyway? So it has nothing to do with gay sex or anything like
Okay,
that.
yeah,
There's a
so
lot of,
your question
there's
was
a lot of
framed-
family that's already breaking apart for other reasons.
So
why are you not focusing on those sort of things?
So let's
That's true, but the two are arguably connected, right? Because where did our big problem start? Our big problem started with the degradation of marriage as an institution, right? You could basically point all these familial birth rate problems back to that. And the two have been intertwined because there's been two movements regarding marriage from the left. It's been divorce, right? Get divorced, no fault divorce, all that stuff. And it's also been that marriage is not between a man and a woman. Marriage is not an objective institution that society's always seen it like this way. It's ordained by God, right? That's how marriage has always been seen, which is why the concept of a gay marriage or a gay marriage has never been taken seriously, has always been seen as so ridiculous by society because we've always seen marriage as an institution between a man and a woman, right? So so I would say yes, it is fundamentally the biggest problem when it comes to families, when it comes to birth rates, is an attack on marriage as an institution. Yeah, sure, LGBT stuff is not the only way that marriage is being attacked, but, and there's a big but, it is a huge part of it, and you cannot deny that. Because what was one of the biggest fights to degrade the institution of marriage in this country? It was the idea that marriage is not this hard, objective thing between a man and a woman. It's actually just whatever you want it to be. Just sign a piece of paper. Just a piece of paper anyway, bro. So
I'll answer it in the frame of homosexuality. Have you seen like any of the data on population collapse that's projected in the next like 50 years? There's a lot of countries around the world that are not having children at the replacement rate necessary in order to continue maintaining their society. Have you seen any of that data?
I'm very familiar with it, yeah.
Okay, so like, Elon Musk talks about this all the time. If you look at the data on homosexuality, like a few generations ago, it was like less than 2% of people were homosexual, and it was 5%, 10%. Gen Z, they're around like 23% identifying as LGBTQ.
Hold on, whoa. To clarify, if we're going to do geopolitics, the 20% identifying as LGBTQ are
He's such a nerd,
predominantly
guys.
bisexual.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
people that are actually becoming gay. Number one. Number two, population.
People always like, why do you add homonym him? I don't know. He's a nerd. What do you want me to say? Oh, Vince, you're a nerd too. Okay, but like that? Excuse me, with my blue hair. Don't you know? My study says. All the time with this guy. Anyways, let's hear him out.
Collapse is not happening.
I'm just saying.
Because of degeneracy or LGBT stuff.
I would say it's a contributing factor.
That's fine, but you'd be wrong. The reason why it's happening is because when countries develop and people are given the opportunity to explore lives, they're not just saying like, oh, I'm 22, I'm gonna have a ton of kids. That's been the big issue.
That's now, a part of degeneracy.
I feel really strongly about this because
I would argue
there arguably is an issue relating to population.
Because what's that being replaced with? Oh, go to college, go join a sorority, hook up with a million guys, and then go be a girl boss, and then And fine, it's on the other side too, right? And men are not taught to take those things seriously. So there is absolutely a correlation. Those are products of feminism. Those are products of the sexual revolution. And you could argue industrialization too, I guess. But there's still a social component to it, and it's called feminism. It's called sexual liberation. And to an extent, sure, it might not be the main cause, but to an extent, you could argue that LGBT plays a role in that. I would say, in terms of birth rate and declining marriage and increasing divorce, it's probably more so sexual liberation and feminism, but that's what's causing it.
Collapse, like we can talk about replacing people or whatever, but like those conversations need to be intelligent and they have to revolve around what's actually happening, which is women getting access to reproductive control, like birth
degenerate
control, and women entering school and the job market. Those are the two massive driving factors. Because the reality is,
and those are what products of feminism. Okay, so we're kind of still saying the same thing here.
If you put a bright future in front of somebody and you say, do you want to pursue that, or do you want to have 4 kids by the time you're 24? Most women are reasonably choosing like, oh, I think I'd rather actually like live my life and do this stuff. I'm pretty sure every single woman at this table has probably made the same choices. All the conservative women that talk about it generally make those same choices. Where they'll tell you like, oh, like look at just Pearly things, right? We'll echo all of the, we need to have kids and blah, blah, blah. And she doesn't either, right? I think that the issue is that we've given women access to all of these things and they really enjoy it. And now we need to have a conversation. What are we going to do for our future population? Because blaming gay people isn't going to put that back in the box. I think
okay, then let's blame feminism. Okay, let's blame, fine, sure. Fine. Then let's blame feminism. Okay, back to square one.
A big issue.
Right?
Those are some fair points.
Also, you do
hold
realize
on.
that
Let me please, Aaron, hold on a second. Let me respond to everything that he just said.
Sure.
Okay, go for it.
You raised a number of fair.
I really want to hear Archduke Ferdinand's take in the back, though. I've been waiting. I think she actually has really insightful things to say. In fact, I would lobby take Destiny off the table. I want to listen to her. She has to have something to say. She's literally a time traveler, so she has to have something to say. I'd have to imagine.
Fair points. The idea that like the most attractive thing to women is going out there, making their career, like living their life, so on and so forth, and that's what like basically all these women want, conservative women included. I would rebut that by saying I've heard from thousands of women that are in their early 20s, conservative especially, and all they want is to have kids, but they're finding it difficult to find a man who actually wants marriage and who also can provide for them. Like I hear from girls every single day, they're like, I wish so badly I could find a guy who would want to get married and would want to have kids with me, okay? That, like, the idea that all these women would just want to go out there and like live their lives and have their careers and stuff, that's not true.
That's great, but I can't argue against your thousands of women. All I can do is look at stats.
Well, there's also stats showing that women are increasingly less happy.
Yeah, stats on happiness have been notoriously difficult to track. But if we look at actual behaviors, women are
Okay, then look at suicide rates. By the way, I don't know if they're really that hard to track, but regardless, okay, suicide rates, depression rates, SSRIs, how much have those gone up? There you go. There's your answer.
Like, for instance, what we would have said 40 or 50 years ago is women don't really like school and they're not going to sit in math class because women just don't learn like that. They don't enjoy doing that. And what we've seen is when we open schools to women, not only are they doing really well, they potentially outcompete men in schools. They might even be more geared towards like learning in a classroom environment than men who would rather like go outside and play and like be more physical, right?
That's it. You know, Destiny, inadvertently based. That is true. The modern school system is feminized. It's actually designed kind of to favor women and disfavor men for that precise reason. The whole, because I think men more often, yes, they want to be more interactive, whatever, physical, but also, there's not a lot of really creativity taught in school, and I don't mean that. Oh, look at your drawing, Timmy. No, I mean more so taught how to think creatively, how to like come up with stuff. You know, it's just what is school? Okay, you're gonna sit in this classroom for 6 hours, and you're gonna learn how to repeat this stupid math process and learn this fact about and whatever, right? It's process repetition. That's all school teaches is process repetition. And men, like, what are we? Are we process repetition people, or are we more so the build, create, innovate, right? That's usually what men tend to do more often than women, and women, you know, tend to be better at the process repetition thing. And so it is true. It's totally unrelated to the point, but it is true that women are better at the modern school system than men. I don't know what it was like back then, but I would say that's kind of true. I would say the modern education system is feminized. That's what I would say.
So I think we have to be careful with this assumption that women are built to want to have children and do that a ton, because women are overwhelmingly choosing to go to college. And
Burgundy Blue for $2 says liberal nihilists be like #No Lives Matter. So true, Burgundy Blue. So true.
Get jobs and like enter the career field. I think that if we just work on the assumption that, well, they don't really want to do that, we're going to be having the same conversation in 20, 30, 40 years, and people like you're going to be like, well, I don't know what's happening. Is it the woke people pushing women to go to college? Or I don't know, like, well, I've talked to hundreds of women that seem unhappy. Well, if you're really a woman, I mean, this is true. If you're 21, 22, 23, and you're looking to have a family and settle down, you can do it. You're going to find a man that'll want to do it, but you can't live in.
They can't.
You can,
but it's not actually that easy. It's just not.
They want
really
that,
struggle.
They want that, but then they want to live in LA, Miami, New York, Austin.
A lot of them don't.
No, they don't.
This is part of the problem.
It's hard to
if
do
you're
in
a woman and you want to find a
America,
husband
too.
that will take care of you, just have kids, go to the fucking Midwest, go to fucking Montana, go to fucking. There's tons of places where you can find men that will do this, but you don't want to do that.
It's still not
You wanna
that
live in one of
easy.
the
It's
10
easier.
Most
It's
expensive
not-
cities in the United States.
Okay.
You want to have a fun life. You want to
That's
have
a fair point.
Yeah, that's the issue. Right?
That's a fair point. But to go back to the original subject, I would say like hookup culture, our current dating culture that is especially incentivizes like the red pill stuff that especially incentivizes men to like increase their value and go and hook up with as many women as they possibly can. Like that's something that's degenerate, that's decreasing the birth rates. To just pass off the whole like LGBTQ rates increasing as a non-factor when it comes to population replacement, I don't think that's fair. Obviously,
Wait. Look at the face of our friend Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Again, chat. I'm gonna speculate. I think she's secretly red pilled. I think she secretly gets it. All right, you can see it on her face. Look at it. Look at her face. She's like, "Das, yes. This is what the Kaiser taught us." Because you know she's definitely as you can tell, very German in her genetics. And she time traveled, and she's like, so true. Look, she's stunned. She's impressed. The impressed look on her face as Chase spits mere facts on the blue-haired libtard. I'm telling you. I think she's secretly on our side.
If you have a quarter of your population that's not interested in heterosexual monogamous relationships.
That's a robot. I will not tolerate this slander. That's not true.
It's not a
Archduke is Brian's sister. She speaks at the end. That's Brian. How's that Brian's sister? Must be a stepsister, huh? Half sister. How's that Brian is totally white. How does he have a, like, that sister looks at least 75% Asian, if not full. How's that Brian's sister? You're messing with me, right? No way. The censorship on the super chats is getting nuts. Thank you for the $2.79, Daniel McQuaid. Hey, that's not me, for the record. If YouTube doesn't let you send it, then that, like, I don't have any blocked words or anything. So sorry to hear that. Again, Streamlabs is an option if you want to try through there. But thank you for the $2.79.
Those are mainly bisexual, and a lot
But
of them are women.
even bisexual, like the people that are being conditioned by our culture to be interested in that, like that's obviously going to have a negative effect on birth rates. So it does play into it.
It doesn't. I promise you.
How could you say it doesn't?
Because if you Google every single industrialized country on Earth, as they become industrialized, women have less children. It's true. Every single industrialized country.
He's 1,000% right. The more a country trends towards being more industrialized, the birth rate does drop.
Yes, and that data
Like
is
to
clear.
below
But
1.8,
the original question was, how does homosexuality contribute to decreasing
But I don't
birth
think like
rates and
homosexuality is an issue in like South Korea or Japan.
The debate is just, the frames are wrong. It's about how does degeneracy, quote unquote, if you want to call it that, in general, contributes to the declining birth rate, which it does. And you could say, oh, industrialization, sure, that's a part of it too. But then you notice what happens to most industrialized countries. They degenerate, so.
Yeah, and they have like some of the lowest birth rates in the world.
Also, being homosexual doesn't actually preclude you from fathering any children.
Well, but
Here, it's not on the top.
We're talking about birth rates, so yes, it does. Oh, they can adopt. Well, they shouldn't be able to, but regardless, we're talking about birth rates, okay? If a gay couple adopts a child, the birth rate statistically does not go up. It's the birth rate, not the number of kids with families, quote unquote.
The to-do list. Let's be honest.
It's
not on the top of the to-do list for gay guys. Gay guys aren't like trying to fucking start a family.
That women not,
Hold on. Let's move away from this topic because it's probably a little
TOS.
It's probably a little fucking TOS.
Wait, is it?
Probably. I mean,
population stuff.
I mean, talking about.
I doubt it. I doubt it's
children.
TOS. If you want to change the subject, you can.
Yeah, I do need to. I do need to
TOS.
announce a couple things here. So
I feel like you should give her, because she wanted to talk for a long time and we cut her off a lot. You should give her at least.
I was just gonna say, I think partially the reason why women are so unhappy and not finding people is because of the very recent embrace of promiscuity. How they're putting themselves out there as like, I don't want to say whores.
Based girl.
That's a bit.
Based girl. Let's go.
But, you know. Hookup culture has really destroyed everyone, both sides, men and women.
Yeah,
we should have known. We should have known the girl with the flower in her head was gonna have traditional viewpoints. I should have read the room. Now again, I really want to hear the Kaiser in the back speak, but still.
Yep.
It's true.
So hold on. Okay, so.
I mean, you feel great because you're married to like a millionaire.
Just a heads up.
But I'm making a lot of money myself as well.
Sheeny Beanie says, thank you for the $5, says, isn't Destiny's wife pretty much a blank that gets blanked by several men, and estrogenic Destiny just sits back and watches? Thank you for the 5, Sheeny Beanie. We will get to that. Don't worry. I've not. That happened this week too. We will get to that. Thank you to $5 again. You guys want to donate tonight to set up the podcast studio. All right. We're about a quarter of the way there. We probably need about like maybe 600 to 800 more. I mean, I'm going to cover some of it myself, obviously. But again, you guys want to donate to the podcast fund. It's appreciated. God bless you guys. Thanks.
A good amount of money.
We're making a lot of money together, actually.
Yeah.
Thanks
the
for asking.
Streamlabs donations. Did we get a TTS that came through?
So true. He's literally
one,
me.
Right?
Yeah, there was the one.
Literally
so
me.
we're having currently some issues with
Joanna. Joanna works
donations.
for them now. That trader.
That Zin is going fucking crazy on your leg, bro.
All right.
So
skip ahead
with it, so I've been sorry to your.
So actually gonna imagine
All
right, we're gonna skip a little bit ahead here
Curiosity
to
and their
exactly what. Oh wow, they got a missile. How'd they do that? We're gonna skip ahead now to what Destiny, what Sheeny Beanie was talking about. Here it is. Okay. Actually, since I want this to be a video at some point, I'm gonna clip this. We'll let it play, and then I'll explain it here.
You sure you want this? I mean.
Well, do you have like a box of tissues in case I want to like cry a little bit, or?
I have.
Use your wife's hair.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, well, I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with the YouTuber Destiny, and I've made like videos poking fun at him a few times before. But one of the big things that people may know about Destiny is he's openly in a polyamorous marriage, okay, quote unquote. He's in an open marriage, which means he can have sex with whoever he wants. His wife can have sex with whoever he wants. And, he claims that this makes him happy and this is liberating. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with, cucking your wife out to other guys. And he's totally cool with that. And so here's always been my thing on that open relationship. First of all, I just think it's wrong. I don't believe in that. But regardless, look at her. That's her right there. And look at him. What's really going on here? Okay. Is it who is really getting the quote unquote benefit of this open marriage? I mean, let's be real. I'm not even trying to insult Destiny on appearance or whatever. I'm just saying, let's compare the two. Let's be honest. Okay. She fairly attractive, him, So, I mean, it's pretty clear that what's really going on in this marriage is he's just the cuck, right? You know what I'm saying? So anyways, with that said, and I just bring that up because, again, they're open about this and they claim this is a good thing. And, well, you'll see in this video here, they brought this guest. I don't know who this is, but they brought a guest in his house, and there's his wife here, and there's this viral clip of them going around. So here, take a look.
Prime.
Oh, this is long.
The part before he's
video
like
tab.
rapping.
Okay, here. Sorry.
Oh, this is long. Is it the beginning? Just go to the beginning, I reckon. Put in the
Go to the part before he's
video
like
tab.
wrapping
Video
his
tab.
big hands around her and like,
Did that?
hey, really
No,
like
that's-
taking her
did
away
that
from me.
Okay,
turn
they're
you on?
having boomer tech. Can we play
it
it,
would have been
please?
more if I was turning around watching.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
The reason why my face is like so weird is I'm just staring into the camera, like imagining the whole time. Like I wish they were naked.
Okay, so
It's not.
I'm just gonna mute the whatever people so that you can't. They're just saying stupid stuff. Okay, so you notice the guy takes up Destiny's wife and is like, "Hey, let's dance." Okay, now watch this video here. Okay, watch this video here. You'll see on Destiny's face kind of what his response is to this. All right. Because I know, he can say as much as he wants. I'm perfectly okay with cucking out my wife to other men. I don't think, no. Listen, as much as we poke fun at Destiny, listen, deep down, I know there's a man in you, okay? He may be very suppressed by high amounts of copium and estrogen, but deep down, Destiny, he internally, he's a man, he knows, okay? He knows secretly deep down he's not okay with this. He's not okay with his open relationship and all that. Okay, and so the internet's been memeing this, but take a look at Destiny's face as his wife that he, is open about being polyamorous with, stands up and dances with this guy they've brought in the studio. Okay. All right. So just watch his face. He's got the cope smile, and then look at his face. Look at his face. We got to zoom in here. All right. You guys need to see what I'm talking about here. So as you can see there, they're dancing in the background. Look at Destiny. Look at Destiny. Look at him. Look at that face. He knows. I'm telling you, he knows. Deep down, he's pissed. Deep down, he's seething. And I would too. Any man would, okay? The problem here is that, come on. You know, deep down, I know it. Deep down, he knows. This is not right, okay? This is just not right. But here he is with the cope face. Okay, the cope face. Look at this. Look at this. Abby Zhang points out, wait, she just said no and they make her dance anyway? Well, I wouldn't. Who the heck is calling me? China. Don't call me when I'm on live. Inconsiderate. Okay. Anyways. But you heard the way she said no. I feel like it was kind of a flirtatious no. Just saying, I'm not saying for sure. I don't know. Maybe that's cope on my part. But anyways, but still, okay, if that's the case, then, maybe her husband should stick up for it. But again, I don't think she really has a problem with it. And I think he's just, look at this though. Look at him. Look at him. It's a poor guy, dude. Come on, Destiny. Listen. We have our disagreements. But I genuinely feel bad for you in this case, okay? Just stand up and be a man. She wants you. Deep down, she probably wants you to stand up in this case and you know, stick up for yourself. Stick up for your woman. She'll be more attracted. She might stop sleeping with other men. You might be able to please her, actually, if you stood up and did this. I'm just saying, okay? Genuinely. Look at this. Oh, let me look at the chat. Let me just stare. Just stares blankly. Imagine the background music. He's whispering to himself, it's okay. I don't care. I didn't really like her anyway. You know, that's that face. It's that face. Poor guy. No, you know, we stand with Destiny, okay? He needs to stand up for it, but he needs to stand up for himself. Look at that laugh. Look, chat. Look at the way his wife was like, no, come on, Destiny bros. I don't care how much we disagree on it politically. You are better than this, Destiny. You are better than this. Listen, you are a man of status, okay? You are a famous YouTuber. You do not have to sit here and just take this, okay? You don't. Yes, by conventional standards, she would be out of your league, fine. But you're also like fame. You don't have to deal with this, Destiny, okay? You can stick up for your woman. You can stick up for yourself. Face of contempt, inversion says. Exactly. Poor guy, man. All right, let's listen to Destiny's cope. Do you guys want to? Here's Destiny's cope. Knight says, surprised she doesn't have an OnlyFans. Well, she might. I'm not sure. But to my understanding, she doesn't. Actually, I'm not sure, chat. Does she? I have no idea. Anyways. Let's listen to the cope, okay?
She started flexing them shoulders and them traps. I was like, oh.
Really? The shoulder rub? Are you serious? Men in chat. Even jokingly. If you're giving a back rub to a girl you were not trying to hit on, exactly. Destiny, wake up, man. I would say that, but he allows it. He's like, okay, it's okay to cheat on me. Again. Is this a two-way street? Do you guys think this is really a two-way street, chat? Is he going out in Miami and you know, sleeping with as many women as she is men? Or even other men, because Destiny's bisexual, apparently? Of course not, chat. Poor guy. All right?
Keep it going for a little bit.
You almost done?
He even said it. He was like, damn. He's pissed. And he can laugh as a cope. He's pissed. And I would be too. He's right to be pissed. I'm pissed for him, and I can't stand the guy. But that made me mad. I'm also kind of, but you know, it's just, I feel bad, chat.
I was getting footage for his next cuck video on me thing.
True. Funny joke. You're coping, man. Wake up. Listen. You're better than this, Destiny. Okay? Stand up for yourself. Come on.
Wait, what did you say?
I said he's collecting footage for the next cuck video because I know these clips are going to show up like a million times, literally, no matter what happens.
Jesus.
I think that's pretty much all of it. You can pause it.
Oh my god, I'm having to relive
Destiny,
that moment every day.
Okay, let's listen to the cope. Look at her smile too. She's like, haha, yeah, I did that. I like that. I feel so bad. No, you know what? No. All right, we have a moratorium on saying bad things about Destiny. I mean, yes, it is bad, but I feel bad for him now. I feel bad. Okay. We need to chat. We need to stand up for Destiny. Okay, we can't be.
Your reaction to
Did
the
you feel a little something there? Watching
feel
that?
what?
Feel a little something.
What are you talking?
Sympathy for your fellow man.
Well, then here she is. What is she flirting with Chase now too? Because look at that. That's not okay. People, guys who don't know. That if you see that face from a woman, yeah, in front of, you know, and that's the other thing too, okay? As a Metro Boomin song says, if you creepin', please don't let me know. And this is another aspect of it too. She has to do it to his face, chat, to his face, all the time too, with like a bunch of the different people he brings on the streams, to his face, okay? Not saying, obviously, it's still just as bad to do behind his face, But she is that bold about it that she does it right to his face. Okay? Oh my goodness.
Like trying to gaslight me into being.
Look at those hands. Look at those hands, chat. Chat, she's flirting, okay? I don't know if she's talking to Brian or Chase, but she's literally flirting on the stream. That like she keeps doing it.
Like, Melina, did you feel a little something during that?
No.
No, you didn't.
No, I'm like traumatized from my dancing because my teachers were really insane.
Gotcha.
So you guys obviously think the internet overreacted to this video and twisted it into something that it's not. But my question is like, why did
Thrilly says, Vince, you're so insecure. Yeah, I'm so insecure for saying I wouldn't let my girlfriend or wife have sex with other men. Wow, that's so insecure, bro. You're just insecure. You're just insecure. It's not insecure, though, to like sit there and take that because she's out of your league or whatever. No, but what is insecure is to say, actually, well, you know, if she's with me, maybe she shouldn't be with other guys. Groundbreaking take. Groundbreaking take. All right, let's keep playing the cope. I'll get to some super chats in a second, but let's listen to the rest of the cope here.
did you make your open relationship, polyamory, whatever, available publicly?
Girl looks at guy, he's flirting, lol. He wouldn't let his girl look at different guys. Okay, Philly. Okay. You know, I'm not claiming to be a connoisseur here, okay? I'm not Andrew Tate or anything. But I've talked to enough girls to know that when they look at you like this, let me play it.
To being like,
hold on. We need to get it. You guys saw it, but let me try to get it.
A little something.
I think they're like trying to get.
Okay. Do you see that? Okay. When they look at you like that, that's a flirty face, and you can tell she's pretty used to doing it in front of him. Okay. The twitch of the hands, that sort of smile. I'm just saying. The body language there is pretty obvious. Okay.
Like,
Melina, did you feel a little something during that?
No,
you didn't.
No, I'm like traumatized from my dancing because my teachers were really insane.
Sure.
Gotcha.
So you guys obviously
Not
think
the
the internet
trauma
overreacted to this video and twisted it into something.
No, they didn't
that it's
overreact.
not. But my question is like, why did you make your open relationship, polyamory, whatever, available public information? Why did you start talking about it? Why did you make it something that you can be mocked about on the internet?
I'm super open about almost all aspects of my life for a variety of reasons. One is because I don't like it when people present like a false front. There's online, I think, for social media, we can talk about appearances. You've got filters, makeup, plastic surgery, like everything online is fake. You've got people that present their lives as being way better than they actually are.
I mean, okay, fine. Thank you for being honest at least, but still, it doesn't mean I'm still going to talk crap about it because it's still bad, okay? It's still bad. You should not be in an open marriage, especially, how old is he? Like in his 30s? You know? Not saying it's ever okay, but this is not a college relationship where frat guy dates a sorority girl and like they both cheat on each other, which again, I'm not encouraging that, obviously, but like we know that happens. You guys are married and about to approach middle age, if not already at middle age. And again, I don't actually think you're okay with it. I don't think you're actually okay with it because I see your face. I listen to your cope right now. I mean, I know she's okay with it. She's perfectly happy because what does she have? She has, at the end of the day, someone who is he is out of her league, right? So no competition, unthreatening, that she can just run back to at the end of the day. And big, famous, rich YouTuber gives her a bunch of money, you know, all the lifestyle she needs. And then she doesn't even have to give up the lifestyle, right? She can just go run around where they're in Miami, right? Run around Miami, just, you know, doing that stuff. And then still come back to a guy at the end of the day who pays everything for her, who is still like there for her after all of it, right? And she doesn't have to be threatened because she's way better looking than he is, right? That's what's going on here. And Philly in the chat's gonna be, no, that is literally what this is, okay? And poor Destiny just sits there and takes it. Why does he sit there and take it? All right? You probably bankroll her whole life, which I guess in a sense is quote unquote, it's the only trad quote unquote thing about your marriage, right? You have just, Whatever. It's his life. What can we do?
Got people that lie about like the
but that's
problems
what's
they have.
going on here.
I like that I'm online.
That's what's going on here. I'm trying to tell you.
I'm
trying to tell you.
Well accomplished. I'm pretty popular. I've been doing this for 12 or 13 years. There's a lot of mistakes that I've made, whether it's words I've said, actions I've been involved in, ways that I live my life, and I'm really open about all of that because I think that right now in my life I'm very happy. I've been very happy for most of my life, but I didn't get there by being a perfect person or pretending to be a perfect person the entire time. And I also I like that I can represent like different things. So like for instance, like I know that like being bi and coming on shows like this, obviously everybody roasts me for it and says that my opinions on relationships don't matter, et cetera, et cetera. But there's also a lot of people that are like wrestling with feelings like that, and they shoot me an email like, oh, I think it's cool that like you talk about this, but it's not like your entire personality, or you don't feel bad about it, or you don't.
I just hear a bunch of cope. That's
so,
just all.
I like to be open
cope.
about like all of the aspects of my life because I think it's good to show that there are a variety of lifestyles you can live, and I'm not going to let the crazy LGBT people monopolize those lifestyles, right? So if you think about somebody who might be polyamorous or bisexual, you're not exclusively thinking of the guy that's doing like the kink at Pride Parade, where they've got like the doggy costume on and they're running around talking to people.
I think of ugly, morbidly obese people on TikTok who are in polycules. That's who I think of.
Yeah, that's fine. So I like to do. So I like to. Hopefully, my representation is a little bit better.
Very bad physiognomy associated with this lifestyle.
So you're happy that we're being open?
I think
then?
You're very attractive, obviously.
Oh, so wait, hold on, 1 second. What the fuck is polycule?
It's a.
Okay. Anyways, that wraps up that part of it. I was just, again, you can make your own judgment. I think it just sounds like a lot of cope. If I were to tell you the truth, I think secretly, and it might not even be a conscious thing. You know, ideology is clouding his true instincts. I agree on that front. But secretly, I just know. I can see it. I can see it in his eyes, okay? On some level, he's not okay with it. And you can tell. All right, anyways, with that segment done, let's get to the super chats. I know I missed a few, so let me spend some time addressing them here. Let's see. Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian dollars. Thank you very much. Super donor McQuaid, okay? Talk about all these donor families in politics. Koch brothers, Soros. No. It's the McQuaid family, okay? The McQuaid family bankrolls Vince Dow. This is true. Anyways, for $6.99 Canadian dollars from Daniel McQuaid's Super PAC says, John remained consistent in his restraint to produce content by... Okay, that was funny, Daniel McQuaid. He says, John remained... I kind of want to send that to him, but he might... Okay. No, but okay. Let me read it. John remained consistent in his restraint to produce content by not speaking much in this podcast. We love John though. So that's what I've heard. I've heard he did not talk a lot, which maybe there's parts where he does talk. I'm not sure. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian. That's a funny comment. You know the thing is, I think John was just trying to be above it all. You know, Sigma male, just quiet, calm, and collected, waits to spit facts or whatever. But the thing is, yeah, if you want to produce content on one of these things, you have to speak up. You have to speak up. Now, at the same time, it could be a matter of when you debate in politics all the time and you're in the political world, I guess destiny is on the other corner, so that's not really true. But just regarding the theme of the podcast, if you're looking at college girls, like, what do you really say to them? I don't know. That's why I know everyone always says, Vince, you need to go on whatever. It'll be so good, which I do want to at some point. I'll try to reach out sometime. But I just don't know how the dynamic would be. You know what I mean? Because my strength is sitting down and talking about issues, social issues, whatever. You know, whatever it is. Could I really look at a bunch of college girls? What is your body count? And I mean, I guess I don't know. Would I actually thrive in that situation? I guess maybe. I don't know. Maybe I would, because as you can tell by this podcast, every time we react to it, I do have things to say about this. But it's just like, it's not the best dynamic for a political person to be in. But because Chase is more, I know he cares about politics, but because Chase also is a normal guy, and at one point was a totally normal guy, as in he was just, you know, he just hooked up and all that stuff. Well, I shouldn't say normal, but you know what I mean. You know, he's good in this. Because he also can talk to the IQ or to the audience of the podcast. Where's John? I don't know. I wonder how I would do in this situation, honestly. Okay, Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 says based ringtone, Vince. It is true. China. That is my ringtone, indeed. All right, let's see what else we got here. Zachary Marintet for 2 months says Destiny is a sugar daddy confirmed. I basically, yeah, I think that's what's going on here. Thank you for the member chat, Zachary. Daniel McQuaid for $2.79 says yes, send it to John. Okay, I'll take a picture of it and I'll okay. Let me take a picture of it and then I'll figure out what to do with it later. It is quite funny. Okay, it is quite funny. All right, maybe I'll send it to No Context Doyle. He can post it. Okay, let me see. Do we miss any super chats here? Yes. Knight for $2 says surprised Melina, his wife, does not have an OnlyFans. Well, you know what, Destiny, you gotta hold the line, my man. You gotta hold the line. Okay, don't let her do it. You gotta shut it down. Shut it down. All right. Anyways, let's get back here. But if you want to, actually, let me check Streamlabs. Make sure there are no donations on there, which I don't think there were. Let's see. I don't think there were. Okay, no Streamlabs. Okay, again, as usual, chat, you want to super chat to support the podcast studio fund. It's all appreciated. God bless you guys. Thanks for the super chats.
Group of people who are polyamorous with each other or whatever.
Oh, God. Is that like a Pokemon or some shit? Or?
It sounds like it, yeah.
Okay, question for you, Destiny. Have you, or both of you, have you guys always been poly or any periods of monogamy or just...
Okay, this part is just stupid. It's not even that important. Okay, mystery guest cooks is the next one. All right, let's listen. I think John is going to talk. He's actually going to say something. Let's go.
But I'll never be like the first one to out, stuff like that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
A gentleman.
Thanks.
True gentleman. Okay. So you two requested initially to come on, and then you also wanted Destiny to join us. You two describe yourselves as feminists. Is that?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
So
it's about to get
what does that mean to you to be a feminist?
They about to go off for real.
I believe in equal rights between women and men.
Okay.
I believe that a woman should have the right to choose whether she wants to stay at home and be traditional. I think that's cool.
Sure.
If she wants to go to the workforce, I think that's cool as well. I just think that they should have those opportunities available to them.
To me, it just means gender equity, liberation, and the promotion of women's success financially, socially, economically.
You said equity there. What do you mean by equity? Because equality I have a fairly good understanding of, but equity is a bit more.
I think modern iterations of feminism have kind of moved away from trying to find equality and complete and total parity between the sexes and the genders in like a one-to-one way. I think.
What do you mean modern feminists have tried to do that? Modern feminists have tried to do the opposite of that because they're realizing, hey, even when we even the playing field, men and women are still not the same. Men still make different choices. Men still pursue different things. There's still a wage gap, all this stuff. So they're actually now saying, well, then let's artificially make this equal or equitable, whatever.
I think it's less about trying to find this golden mean that's probably never going to exist and more about like where do we see deficiencies for the genders and on the basis of sex or gender, and how can we accommodate everybody and make sure everybody's needs are being met and that nobody's being discriminated against on that basis alone.
On the subject of gender, if I may ask, what is a woman?
Bro. This is $1 million question.
Don't even bother asking Aaron that question. You're just going to get another question.
Maybe she wants to answer it.
I mean, okay. So I feel like every single time I try to come up an answer with this and I try to think it logically through, I run into some problems. So usually what I try to do is
Why do you logically run into problems? It should be a fairly simple question.
You ask other people to define it first because I'd rather work on their definition and see if everything.
Wow. So, you know, not to make this joke, which it is a joke, YouTube. It is a joke. But you call yourself a feminist woman, and the first thing you do is defer to the opinions of men. I'm just joke, kidding, comedy. But it's just pointing that out.
Tracks. Because so far, every definition that's been presented to me, like, there's some logical consistency.
Okay, but what is a woman?
Just to me.
Okay, this guy broke into the studio. I don't know what's up with that.
A woman seems to be somebody who presents as a woman, who acts as a woman. Society.
And what does that mean? Are you stereotyping? Are you saying that if woman, you know, is tall and plays football and talks like this and wears men's clothing, but they're just a lesbian. Are you saying that's not a woman? Like, what does that actually mean? It's so funny because on one hand they say, oh, well, like masculinity and femininity are subjective concepts. On the other hand, they say, well, it's someone who presents as a woman. Well, what does it mean to present as a woman? So you boil down ultimately, they still can't they try these different ways, but they still really can't get around the fact that like there's men, there's women, and we discernibly as human beings know which is which, right? Because what does it mean to present as a female? If it's all totally subjective, then what does it mean to present as a female? What does that mean? I mean, long hair? Oh, I thought that was stereotypical. Does it mean, the body, the sexual parts? Oh, wait, no, that's bigoted. Does it mean the way they act? The psyche, the emotional? Oh, wait, no, that's stereotypical. So then what does it mean to present as a woman? It's all incoherent. It's stupid.
You can't use the same term in the definition of the term.
That's not 100% true. If you know about functional definitions, that's like, I don't want to get into behavioral psych. That's going to be a whole other thing. But basically, we have these conceptions of what a woman is, how they present, certain feminine features, certain ways that they dress.
Aren't you stereotyping there? What do you? So you're saying that if a lesbian wants to wear a men's clothing, then they're not a woman. Then they become not a woman. And if that's the case, then you're acknowledging like there's a different. There's like men and women, right? And there's masculinity and femininity, and those are real things. And those are identifiable things. Because otherwise, what does it mean? And then by that logic, if you take off this crop top or whatever and put on a men's suit, are you now not a woman? And you cut your hair, are you now not a woman? What does that mean? That doesn't mean...
And we tend to say, okay, if you wear skirts, dresses, have long hair, that's a woman. So whether it should be...
Those are stereotypes.
Considered that or not is a completely different story.
Then what does it mean? If there's...
then starts running
so there's no such thing as a woman. That's basically what she said. That's all she said.
Consider Gorlock a woman.
I don't know who Gorlock is.
The fat fuck.
I don't know who that is.
Whoa.
Right.
But I would
love... Pixie, if I look at somebody and they identify as a woman, but I don't know that, and I just totally register that person.
Disciple for $5 says that girl can't define a woman, but she sure used the word woman a lot to argue against patriarchy. Thank you for the 5. Yeah, exactly. And still no one knows what it means. Again, guys, you want to super chat the show? I'll read them. So appreciate it. And it goes to the podcast studio fund. So that way we can compete with the whatever podcast. Just kidding. I don't have that much money, but we can make something comparable.
Person as a man in my mind, and that's how I interact with them, then is that person a woman?
Well, that's where we start running into logical inconsistencies, right? I would say basically the main thing is identifier, right? So
why is that the main thing though?
Okay, going back to the original thing we posed in this podcast at the beginning. Okay, so you asked the question, remember Destiny and those people asked the question, how does sexual degeneracy and liberation destroy society? Okay, well here's a prime example of it. You're saying, our political conversation ought to be about issues and our solutions to those issues, stuff like that. And we can't even get past the point of something as basic of what is a woman and what is a man. So yeah, that's part of the reason, okay? Here's a prime example of it. We cannot define what a woman and a man are, and, we're expected to somehow have a functioning society. And we can't get past these very fundamental, rudimentary questions of who we are. That's why your whole movement destroys society. And there's an example of it.
Because
And by the way, Archduke Ferdinand in the back agrees. You see her face? She doesn't even know who I am, but she's like, I agree, Vince. I agree. Yeah.
Running into logical inconsistencies.
Why is that the main thing, though?
Because when we say chromosomes, when we say biology and try to use that definition, the reality here is that I did not check anybody's chromosomes in here before calling them a man or a woman.
Or genitals.
Yeah. Right? There are a lot of other micro calculations that I think your brain is making about someone's appearance, which makes you register them as either one or the other.
Exactly. We're making assumptions based on appearances, not genitalia or chromosomes. So there seems to be some sort of inconsistency if we try to define it biologically, because we don't actually act that way in reality. I didn't check your genitalia. I didn't check your chromosomes. I just assumed because of how you presented yourself that you were a woman. So I agree. Like, it's a complicated subject. It feels like there's inconsistencies whenever we try to define it. Like, hey, but wait a second.
Yes, there is, because it's all stupid. Don't you get it? Don't you get it? Yeah. Oh, it's so complicated. We can't figure it out. It doesn't need to be that way. It's like that because we're so silly about this. It's not. Yeah, okay. A woman is a biologically born female. That's an adult, I guess. That's a woman. Male, opposite of that. It's not that complicated. But yes, you are absolutely right. When you try to infuse quote-unquote gender ideology, which I feel like it shouldn't even be called that because it's kind of a lack of gender ideology, whatever. This is how confusing it gets. It's not that confusing of a question. It's not a confusing question at all. But you are right. You are acknowledging something. When you insert your nonsense into this, it does actually get quite confusing, complicated, and incoherent. This is true. This is true.
Just because I wear short hair, does that make me not a woman anymore? Of course not. So it is a complicated subject. I'm not here to pretend I have all the answers.
Actually, I don't think we find it
John,
complicated.
what do you think about that?
I think that you're intellectualizing it too much. I think if we took 100 people and just had them identify every person at this panel, are you a man or are you a woman, they would, with 100% accuracy, be able to discern the biological sex. Even without seeing the chromosomes or the genitalia, they would know.
That's definitely not true.
That's absolutely true.
That's
totally
true.
true.
Actually, you know what? You're right. You're right. Because I think some people might confuse destiny with a woman. Okay, John, you have not considered that. But besides him, yes, you're right.
Boys and stuff on Twitter that are more feminine than the most feminine women.
You're right. And so here's sort of the problem. I don't like the way that the conservatives, and in particular some of the Daily Wire crowd, handle this. I understand why they do it. They're trying to attack the problem head on. But you're right when you say it's not sufficient to define a woman by her biology. You know, if you say like this sort of crude, you know, people make a lot of money now selling t-shirts like real women don't have dicks. And it's like, okay, yeah, well, real women also shouldn't speak that way, frankly. It's sort of like your definition earlier, for example. Like, I couldn't ask you what an ant is, and you couldn't reply like an ant is a creature that acts like an ant. Like, there has to be some way that that creature is behaving naturally. And I think that women in their natural state tend to, not always.
I think it's both. I think, yes, there's a biological aspect of just what a woman is, and then there's a social, emotional, spiritual aspect. What I would say is that I think the reason we get stuck on the biology part, and I've said this before too, I've gone out and said, being a woman is not just about having a vagina. It's also, you know, there's a social, actually, this is what I always say. I always say it like this. I say, men and women are different, but not just physically. I always use the same phrase. You guys have probably heard me say it a million times. This is how I say it. Men and women are not just different on the outside, but we're different on the inside. We're not just different in physical ways, but we're also different emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, morally, right? Distinct, still equal in value, I would say, in worth at least, but separate from each other. But I think the reason why the debate often gets into biology is because I think in order to argue how should a man act, how should a woman act, you have to first define what a man and a woman are. And I think that's the reason why in the political mainstream, like the Daily Wire, they have to start with biology. Because I think if you can't define first what a man and woman are, then how do you define how a man and woman are supposed to act, is what I would say. And by the way, Archduke Ferdinand in the back is impressed. She's like, wow, look at that.
But tend to behave a certain way. And tend
Why
to
is she even there, dude? I don't. We've been reacting to this for like over an hour, but still, why is she there?
Look a certain way. And conservatives, I think, are afraid to acknowledge that because we have so much internalized feminism and liberalism in the sense that we don't want to pretend that that exists, like that women act a certain way and men act a certain way. And so we do want to keep it in a comfortable area, comfortable area of like, oh, well, my biology textbook says this, and you know, you look like this. But in the next 10, 15 years, Chase and I were talking about this earlier, as the surgeries continue, as the hormones continue, the makeup, you won't be able to tell. And it won't be sufficient to just look at somebody and be able to say, oh, you're a man or you're a woman. And so it can't purely be cosmetic. It can't purely be biological. It's almost this like metaphysical discussion that I don't think anyone's ready to have. So in a way, the woke people are actually more correct because they're trying to have a conversation about the essence of gender. And the right is just like, oh, well, men and women, there's only two of them. And that's just a losing point of view. So I actually agree in a way with what you're saying. I just don't agree with the conclusion.
Part of the reason why I asked the question, you mentioned that you're a feminist and you believe in fighting for women's rights, so on and so forth. And there's this interesting thing that started to happen in our society where I've seen a number of articles about this in recent years. It came up on a couple podcasts ago. There are biological males that are being convicted of crimes, and before they go to their sentencing, they all of a sudden start identifying as women, and they get sent to female prisons where they will then go to the female prisons and they will rape the female inmates and impregnate them.
Chase, bro.
Sorry, I forgot, dude. They will grape them. A little too late.
Scuffed, dude.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, like as somebody who believes in fighting for women's rights, like don't you feel like that kind of jeopardizes women's rights?
I think that when it comes to like the whole idea of like a sudden makeshift gender, saying, oh no, like suddenly I identify as a woman, so I can get into a women's prison and rape women. That is something. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep saying no. I'm sorry.
Keep going.
But yeah, that is something that would be worrisome. Absolutely.
The politically correct term is to Bill Clinton them. Okay, it's not. That's the.
And that kind of goes back to this whole idea of like, okay, how long should a person be able to present, or are there other markers that we can actually, like, the psychologist can talk to you, have a real conversation, and be able to determine, like, what are your true, like, incentives or motives? I don't know how common these cases are. I do feel, and I just bring this up, not to try to derail.
Look at how ladylike the trad girl with the flower is. Okay, she raises her hand respectfully. She waits for her to finish. Let's go. W.
Let me just say that the day we had that conversation, it happened again later that day.
That's a joke, YouTube. That's a joke.
Like it's probably.
But it is actually respectful. W girl, let's go.
Probably pretty common.
I mean, the reason why I kind of want to push back on that is because 1% of the population in the United States is trans, right? So that means like the percentage of people who are trans and also going to jail are probably like less than, if I had to guess, like less than 0.2 or 0.3%, right? So it just doesn't seem like it would have to be, unless if you have stats saying the majority of trans people are going to jail.
Well,
then
you might actually have an overrepresentation.
Hold on 1 second. It could be happening in jail. It could be happening in women's restrooms. Like these kind of assaults happen all over the place. And it's like, for me, it's like, okay, I hear you say that you're a feminist, but it's like, I feel like a true feminist would really work to protect actual biological women from this whole situation being taken advantage of.
Assault is already illegal, though.
I'd like to add on.
Yeah, it's already illegal, but it's being made. It's being made. It's being made easier.
Let her speak. Look at her. She's so respectful. All right, she's so respectful.
It's being made easier as a result of the direction that our society has gone in, and it's like I feel, you know, women who stand against this stuff, they call them TERFs, right?
I'm white knighting, chat. I'm white knighting. Let the lady speak.
Very radical feminist, but it's like I feel like there's nothing radical about it. I feel like a true feminist would actually work to protect her sisters and stuff like this.
She's like, "Excuse me, can I talk, please? I haven't talked the whole time."
It's coming up.
Mr. Chase, may I add on to that? I just wanted to ask, how masculine in the face does someone have to be before you're uncomfortable in a bathroom with them?
What do you mean? That's a.
What was your question?
How masculine in the face does someone have to be before you yourself? I'm asking you.
Have you ever been in the bathroom with like a butch lesbian?
I have. I'm asking you.
Okay, but butch lesbian, like by definition, present pretty masculinely, and yet
they're clearly still women.
I'd like for you to let me finish. I'm asking you personally.
Let's go.
How
so true.
Masculine in the face does someone have to be before you yourself feel uncomfortable and unsafe in the bathroom with them?
I honestly wouldn't feel uncomfortable or unsafe in the bathroom unless if that person, and also this applies to cis women as well, unless if that person started trying to like interact with me some way in the bathroom, right?
If you saw Chase in the women's restroom, how would you react?
How would you react if you saw Buck Angel in the women's restroom? I think this is the issue, right?
Who's
is
Buck
it like
Angel?
Is a trans man who's very masculine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they have a vagina. I'm assuming. I think
I got to catch up on all this
Hulk
American
Hogan with a vagina in the bathroom. Would that not make you feel?
Andrew Tate did a very interesting video on this where he asked.
But it's like if I saw Buck Angel in the men's bathroom, like I'd be like, okay, like whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, but
no,
I
but
can
Buck
defend
Angel
myself.
was in the women's
You're saying
bathroom.
if he went into the women's restroom?
Women are more vulnerable than men, so it matters less who's going into the men's bathroom.
No. We're saying if you take Hulk Hogan and you give him a vagina, and then he enters a woman's restroom,
Respect his
when
pronouns.
you see them, you're gonna say like, "Oh my God!" Like that's
okay. But no woman looks like Hulk Hogan though. I know there's like a meme about it, but still, there's no actual human woman that looks like Hulk Hogan. I'm yet to see it. Mustache, beard, like it's actually biologically impossible. I would like to see the evidence. Does any female out there look like Hulk Hogan? I don't think it exists. So
male or whatever, but you don't know they have a vagina. So the question becomes like a lot more like
you guys are all just No, it's okay. It's okay to have a. It's okay for Destiny to go in the woman's bathroom because Okay.
Or the answer to the question becomes a lot more murky because you're saying like, oh, how masculine.
Any woman when they're not clouded by trying to defend this ridiculous ideology will tell you she is uncomfortable when she sees Destiny in the bathroom. Okay, so don't.
Do they have to look before you're uncomfortable? But at the end of the day, they have a vagina, aren't they?
Because
women
if you gave Hulk Hogan,
what if they don't have a vagina then? Okay, fine. What if they don't have a vagina? What if they literally have a penis and they go in the woman's bathroom? There you go.
in a neo vagina, he'd still be a man.
Yeah.
So
I feel like if you gave him a vagina, but giving him a vagina via a sex operation, it's
if
not
you
a
have
sex
a woman,
distinction.
if you have a woman or somebody who's biologically born female, whatever, and they start injecting
I think that's the definition that we're looking for.
If you have a woman or like biologically born female, that's the definition you're working with, and they start injecting themselves with like steroids, start grinding, start working out, get surgery to get their boobs replaced, whatever. Now they're this like super muscular person that looks like a guy, and they go into the woman's restroom. Would that be okay with you guys?
No, probably not actually. I don't think the female body is like ready to process those kinds of hormones. One of you also mentioned the butch lesbian. Have you seen the rates of domestic violence among those types of couples? I wouldn't frankly want them. Maybe they should have like their own bathrooms or something.
I think
it should be like an LGBT bathroom.
Yes. I feel
like
the issue.
Third restroom.
Someone in the chat actually claims that women are not vulnerable.
That is how it is in California. All the bathrooms are non-binary. I don't know if you guys know this. But a lot of establishments in California, at least in LA, I don't know if it's like this in Santa Barbara, but they got rid of the men's and women's bathrooms, and now they're all just single stall bathrooms, right? Lock in, and they just say gender neutral on them. I'm not joking about this. And I think it's like this because that's the law, at least in wherever I grew up, because that's how most bathrooms are. There's no men and women's bathroom. It's gender neutral, all gender, whatever it is. And they're single stall. So they got rid of like efficient public bathrooms, where you actually have multiple stalls and people can get in and out. Now everyone has to stand in a lot of like fast food places. Everyone has to stand and wait for one single stall bathroom because the law says, or whatever policy, I don't know, says they have to be gender neutral. So many such cases. All right. Anyways, I haven't checked super chats for a while, so let's check out the super chats. Are we fed posting in the super chats, chat? Are we fed posting in the super chats? Enclave Nationalist for $2 says, thoughts on OJ. Do you mean orange juice or Orenthal James Simpson? Orange juice, decent drink. I wish it was real most of the time. I like real orange juice with pulp. This whole from concentrate, juice from concentrate. Terrible. And frankly, orange juice without pulp is not real orange juice. Orenthal James Simpson. In that regard, one of the best college running backs of all time, and that's all I know about him. I don't know anything else about O.J. Simpson. I just know he won a Heisman Trophy, so I don't know what you're talking about. The rest of it, Enclave Nationalist, I don't know anything about a Ford Bronco or, I don't know anything. Okay, I know he was a good running back in college. Thank you for the $2. Disciple of. I still don't know how to say that. For $2 says, John Money redefined the word gender. Thank you for the $2. Enclave Nationalist for $5 says, yesterday I ran my final mile of the year and I beat my best time getting a 7:46. And I did it all while having a bad case of allergies. Enclave Nationalist, thank you for the $5. But good for you on improving. But you got to get that time up, man. 7:46? Listen. Enclave, you gotta beat me, okay? When I was in my prime of high school or middle school, whatever, I don't remember exactly when, I used to be able to run like a 6-minute mile, okay? So I want to see you break 6. Good job, good PR, all right? But your goal, okay, by the time you graduate 12th grade, okay, I'm setting a goal for you. You need to break 7 minutes, okay? You need to be in the DOYLE category. I'm gonna push you, all right? I'm pushing you now. I'm your personal trainer. Let's go, all right? I want to see a 6-minute mile from Enclave Nationalist by the time he graduates. Thank you for the $5, but good on the PR. I don't want to take away from that. Okay, if you hit your PR, that's good. That's good. All right. But now that's my challenge, Enclave. That's my challenge. Lord Pepsi for $2 says, anyone pro 19th Amendment is a feminist? Yes or no? I say, well, I say I don't want to get destroyed by YouTube. Okay. That's what I'll say. Thank you for the $2, Lord Pepsi. Timothy Miller for $2 says, message retracted. So true. That's the most articulate super chat of the night, Timothy Miller. I gotta be honest. That's the best one I've heard all night. He's just going off. He's spitting straight facts. For real. All right, Burgundy Blue for $2 says, trans people are the imposters among us. So true. Thank you for the $2. And Timothy Miller for $2 says, Google Heather Swanson from South Park. Lol. All right, let's see. Heather Swanson. Who is Heather Swanson? Oh yeah, that's Macho Man Randy Savage. It's so true. Yes. Heather Swanson, the queen of women's sports. Heather Swanson. Okay, she truly has the heart of a champion, as we know.
Which is absolutely insane.
Well, no. I think the argument is women are not necessarily vulnerable in bathrooms. There's not like this epidemic.
They are more vulnerable than men.
Wait, hold on. Number one, there's not this epidemic of bathroom rapes. Okay, this is like a really fantastic scenario. Number one. Number two, grapes. Number two, okay. And I don't know if this is like an SNL skit or something, but like if a rapist is chasing you and you're a woman, it's not like running into the bathroom is going to protect you, right? So the idea that
nobody was proposing that it would.
But if there's somebody that wants to,
should this be considered socially acceptable?
It already is.
Hold on, wait. No, it's not.
Wait, hold on.
No,
wait. In some countries, okay, so like in Sweden, for instance, there's just bathrooms where everybody goes in, and there's like an individual spot for everybody. Yeah, there's plenty of these places that exist. Nobody's out there graping everybody all over the bathrooms. It's not. This is like such a niche.
Isn't Sweden like the grape capital of the world?
Yeah,
it is.
Sweden and Germany have extremely high.
Steve Larson wrote "Girl with the Dragon
extremely high rates.
That's because they have a more general definition.
Hold on. That's because in like 2013 they did a massive redefinition to open up what they considered grape.
2018.
2018.
Compared to other countries.
Yeah, number one. But I'm just saying that like I think that there's a valid reason to talk about protecting women's spaces. I think there's a really good conversation to be had about like women's sports, but the bathroom example is one of the silliest, weirdest things that gets brought up constantly. There is not an epidemic of people getting raped in the bathroom, and if there was, a female sign with a dress is not going to stop a rape.
Why do women need to come up with a reason that they don't want men in?
What about the locker room? Huh? Because in middle school, high school, where I grew up, there's now men in the women's locker room, or boys, I guess, boys in the girls' locker room. So, just saying.
In the bathroom with them, though.
Mm-hmm.
Why do they need a specific reason like that? Why can't it just be that they're uncomfortable?
At what point?
Wait, you don't. You're the one that's pretending they need the reason. Because if you say,
no, I'm not.
You are, because if you say, I'm uncomfortable with somebody being in the bathroom.
They need to let based girls speak. I feel bad. Like I said, I'm white knighting, chat. I'm white knighting. Okay. She's here raising her hand all night. No one wants to let her talk.
Just because, like, I feel like the women's bathroom should be just for people with vaginas, whatever. That's a fine argument. You can start there. But when it's like, I'm worried they're gonna assault me, motherfucker, someone's gonna assault you.
That's part of it, but it's certainly not all of it.
You are correct with the assault aspect.
Well, wait, hold on, real quick, because I cut her off. What were you gonna say?
At what point does someone else's comfort? At what point should that be prioritized over someone else's safety?
The problem is whose comfort, because we always talk about this on the
biological
women's side. You say that, but so for instance, let's say that I'm a traditional father and I want to take my boy to the bathroom. Okay, let's say he's 6 years old, and then Blair White comes walking into the bathroom. You would defend that because you say, well, she's a biological male. But I might feel really uncomfortable if I'm a traditional male, if I'm a Christian man.
As a man, you're far more able to protect yourself and your child than
hold
a
on.
woman is.
Hold on. We're not talking about who's getting assaulted. I'm just saying in terms of comfort, because earlier you said it's just about comfort in the bathroom. So if I'm a traditional male, I'm a Christian man, and all of a sudden somebody like Blair White walks up to the stall and starts peeing in, and my 6-year-old son is there, and he's like, Dad.
We're skipping ahead. I don't care. Like, this is just stupid. This is just so stupid. Let's see. Do you believe in the patriarchy? That's the next. Okay, by the way, after we do this chapter, chat, we'll probably just go to super chats fully, because I don't want I don't want to steal their whole podcast, but we'll do this. This will be the last little segment, okay? Sound good? Sound good? Everyone cool with that, kids? Okay, kids, are we cool with that? Or else I'm going to turn this car around. Are we there yet?
We're getting lost in the weeds.
I want to come back. I want to come back to. By the way, can I have everyone just scoot their cups into the table a little bit?
You were
OCD over here.
fixating on essays in the bathroom for the past 5
I think
years.
we should redirect.
Before we start the segment, Homer for 20,000 dong. Come on. Says gay parenting is motherlessness / fatherlessness. Exactly. So true. So true.
Let's redirect the conversation.
So initially what I was asking you two, when you contacted me, you said you both were feminists, and you kind of described a little bit about what that means. I suppose my question is, what do you believe in as a feminist, and chiefly, do you believe in the patriarchy theory?
Yes, I believe in the patriarchy. I believe that there is like historical examples.
Thelrun Smith says blue hair guy looks like a jabroni. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Okay, you better look out. The Rock is cooking. The Rock is cooking. All right, he's gonna come out. All right, imagine that. Imagine that. Your destiny. You're standing in the ring at Hell in a Cell. I don't know, WrestleMania. Fine, you're at WrestleMania. You're no. Yeah, you're at WrestleMania. The whole world is watching. Okay. And you're like, hey, I'm Destiny. I'm Destiny. My wife, you know what? I'm Destiny. And then all of a sudden the lights go out and it says, if you smell what the Rock is cooking. You know, like, could you imagine? Could you imagine the look on Destiny's face if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson interrupted his promo at WrestleMania and called him a jabroni? He would never come back from it. And we need to organize this, chat. We know everyone's always like, debate Destiny. Oh, it's so over for Destiny. No. Listen. Put him on WrestleMania, all right? And you know, The Rock will deal with the situation. Okay? Destiny on WWE. Yes, absolutely. Sheeny Beanie for $2 says non-fat or full-fat yogurt tonight. Well, I would say I would say organic yogurt, but non-fat yogurt, I mean, is probably treated with more stuff, probably has more chemicals. Just find which has less chemicals on the label. There's your advice. Thank you for the $2 Sheeny Beanie, okay? And can you imagine? Could you imagine Destiny too? Well, I think that woman should be in the men's bathroom. I think. And then The Rock pauses. So do you really think? How does The Rock talk? I can't even do it. Do you really think that women should be in the men's bathroom? Destiny's like, well, you know, I think it doesn't matter what you think. And the whole crowd goes, whoa, whoa. Okay? And he says, okay, well, we get the point. You get the point.
Of the United States being a patriarchy, and I still think that there are certain ways where it currently exists. I think, interestingly enough, I think in some ways you guys are actually...
The Rock is a lib, though. I don't believe that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't believe that. I see. It's very interesting because I will agree he's weak. He's soft, but I don't think he's actually a liberal. I think that Hollywood approached him in 2020 and was like, hey, you need to endorse Biden. He's like, fine. Because he hasn't really talked about politics since. He never talks about politics. But that one video out of nowhere, he endorses Biden. So, yes, it doesn't mean I respect him anymore. But I'm just saying I honestly don't think deep down Dwayne Johnson is a liberal. I think he just is just he's just a jabroni. What can we say? He's just a jabroni.
Pushing again.
John James says Destiny would just offer his wife to The Rock. So true. So true.
It's out when you guys...
He identified as The Rock. Well, I respect The Rock's gender identity. That's the only one.
Are talking against promiscuity in men, because I think historically it's been accepted, this idea that like, oh, you know, if a man sleeps around, he's just a player, he's just being the alpha, and that's a patriarchal notion. So I actually agree with you guys in the sense that like, hey, you know what, like sleeping around men or women, like that's not necessarily a good idea.
True.
But yes, I do believe that like in the general patriarchy, and that there are still like examples of it currently going on.
Okay. Do you think we live in a patriarchy?
Yes, I do. And
That's
I think
why
like
it's
building
awesome.
off of like, I think the question that you asked me was like
I don't think we
more.
have
I said this on the last stream. I don't know if I want to go off again, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we live in a patriarchy currently. I think we live in a matriarchy, if anything. But I don't consider quote unquote patriarchy to be a bad thing. I think patriarchy is I've said this on the last whatever podcast, but I think patriarchy is the natural state of human existence. If you restarted society tomorrow, what you would always get is patriarchy every single time, 100 out of 100 times. And in the rare cases you get matriarchy, society would crash and burn, or you never get one to begin with, or you'd be in our situation where society is starting to crash and burn, right? Even the country we see around us today was built by a patriarchy. It was built mostly by male leadership and male headship, right? And that's just the reality of any civilization. Again, if you restarted civilization tomorrow, 100 out of 100 times of successful society started, you would get a situation where the strongest and most capable and wisest and, to a degree, most hardened and experienced men stood up and became leaders, took charge, and the women and also the weaker, less alpha, quote unquote, men would get behind and follow them. That's human society. That's human civilization. So you can look at that and you can call that sexist or mean or not like that. That's reality, but that actually is the reality. That's the reality of human existence. That's the natural state of human existence. And I would argue even today, even though we have a matriarchy, in many ways you could argue patriarchy still prevails, right? You look at the facts. Most heads of state around the world are still men. Most CEOs are men. Most leaders of situations are men. At the end of the day, when war breaks out, when things go wrong, all the feminists, they run to the men to solve the problems because there's nothing wrong with that. That's the natural state of human existence, okay? So now you could say, well, we're 21st century. We don't need that anymore. But because I'm a conservative, I believe, yes, we can progress technologically, this and that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you never progress past human nature, right? Human nature will always still be human nature. And so, yes, even in the 21st century where we might think we don't need that stuff anymore, I can tell you we very much do. The same laws of human existence and human society apply. And I think you're starting to see around you that, just because we have technology doesn't mean that, this fundamental concept of male leadership of society just goes away. It doesn't. And I think you're seeing that in the United States. And, you look at the countries that are beating us on the international stage. Does China really have care for these silly, well, what about women? And they're a quote unquote communist or formerly whatever country. But even they, what are they teaching to their men? Masculinity, step up. Go lead and be glorious go be glorious for China, So, anyways, Enclave Nationalist for $5 says, opinion on how the people who directed and wrote all the Matrix movies are trans. Is that true? Enclave Nationalist, is that true? Can we get a confirmation on that? Thank you for the $5, Enclave. All right.
Related to what my definition of feminism is. I gave it to you a bit earlier, but I also like to explain it to people as feminism really is just like a neutral tool and way of analyzing and understanding the world around us and looking at it through gender relations or sex relations. You can arrive at conservative conclusions or liberal left-leaning conclusions through it. There's many examples of conservative feminists, rad femmes, TERFs, third wave feminists, all of these groups are kind of at odds with each other. Yeah, they broadly fall under we advocate for women's rights, but the way that they decide to go about it is completely different. So there's not one coherent definition of this feminist ideology guides this group of women or people, because really anybody can claim to be a feminist or employ feminism. Sure. And I just feel like it is a useful tool for anybody to use, because wouldn't you agree that the lives of men and women are so different that to analyze them through that structure is often interesting and insightful?
So you think
But feminism says the lives of men and women are the same. That's feminism for you. Men and women are the same. Men and women are quote unquote equal. They're not. So that's why I'm not a feminist.
Feminism is a useful tool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and just really quick, just to bring you two into it, I don't.
Oh yeah, you know what Destiny's wife is gonna say.
If you guys identify as.
Yo. All right, Archduke Ferdinand is surprised again. All right, what's about to happen here?
Feminist, Destiny. Consider yourself feminist. Okay.
Male feminist. Average male feminist, by the way. This.
So
I think it's, to be clear, that term has become so broad that it's kind of like meaningless, right?
Sure.
Like,
sure.
like one way of fighting for equity as a feminist could just be that like any kind of like structural barriers that women face entering like certain fields of education should be removed. But other people might argue that like,
do those even exist?
They have a better chance of getting accepted usually when you're a woman.
Sure. Most of the ones that exist now are probably like cultural in nature, and a lot of those I think have been largely eroded, probably especially over the past like 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
But then there are other feminists that will push for way more radical stuff depending on where you want to go on the political spectrum. So it just kind of depends on what you're.
Sure. And just so we all agree on definitions here, what is the patriarchy?
The patriarchy is the natural and normal state of human existence. That's my new people ask me. If anyone ever asks me, that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say it's a natural and normal state of human existence. And then I'll elaborate.
The patriarchy is basically this idea that there has...
Gee, I really wonder why like every society in human history, at least at its beginning, was a patriarchy. I really wonder why that is. Wonder how could this be? How could this be? Maybe because it's normal. Maybe because it's normal, Chad.
And like the system of oppression that mostly benefits men and is in the, detriment of women. Now, the patriarchy also negatively affects men. A lot of people have this misconception that's like, oh, the patriarchy like only benefits men, like men aren't hurt by it. No, there are clear examples of ways that men are hurt by the patriarchy.
You know what? I know what she's about to say, but and I'm not going to frame it like that, but she is getting at something, which is this whole concept of, oh, the patriarchy, just like men grifting off a woman or whatever, the backs of women. That's not really true. In a true patriarchy, men would actually have a lot more duty than they do right now, right? Because how is it now? Oh, marriage, you just cohabitate and she can make more money than you and stuff. Well, in the patriarchy, that's your sole duty to provide, and you have to work your butt off so that she can live like a queen. Okay, so that's just one example of it. In a patriarchy, men would be expected to not just provide but also protect women in 100% of cases. There would be a duty to do that. They would be expected to step up and lead like virtually every single important situation in society instead of just saying, oh, well, whatever, who cares, right? In a true patriarchy, men have a lot more duty than they do right now in society. They actually do. Now, she's going to say that's a bad thing. Oh, I put stress on them, but it's a good thing. Because men are made great through struggle and trauma and work and all that stuff.
But this idea that it basically usually favors men or puts them on top to the detriment of women, generally speaking.
Can you give some examples of how men have been like boosted ahead and women have been like detrimentally damaged due to the patriarchy?
How men have been detrimentally damaged?
No, how your original point was women are damaged to put men up in the patriarchy. Got some examples?
Yes, and I think this is kind of a unique space because every other red pill space I've been in has had this idea that like men should like continue like sleeping around and trying to like deflower women and like not marry them and just like like fuck around, have fun. And continuously, basically, like, if women decide to, like, follow that lead, oh, they're stupid whores, they're, like, dumb bitches, like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing, like, they should just, like, shut the fuck up and go away, right? And I feel like that's a very clear example of, like, these men reap the benefits of sex while simultaneously looking down on the woman that they're reaping those benefits from.
How's that related to patriarchy?
Yeah, how's that to a woman's detriment? Like, guys aren't...
I don't know what's going on right now.
Going out with guns and putting them to women's head, like, you better fucking have sex with me. Like, they're out here getting it in on their own.
Well, it's detrimental to women because when it comes to things like, like the workforce, or when it comes to being taken seriously, it's like voicing their opinions, their ideas, trying to break into like certain fields. Now they're just, instead of actually viewing the woman as a whole human being.
I mean, I will say I do disagree with the red pill movement on that, right? Now, I've defended the red pill movement in some regards because I think... And I know some conservatives don't like to see it this way, but I do think in many ways it's a net positive for a lot of men out there. It improves them, if not perfectly, it improves their kind of state of mind, state of existence. It improves their value in society, right? And by the way, I think there are red pill people out there that are for family. I've heard that. I don't think... I'm not going to paint them all with a broad brush. They're all like that one guy who was like, you want to be a high-value man? Get him vasectomy. But I do think that the end goal of life as a man should be to reproduce your genetic legacy. I think that's the alpha thing to do, is produce a bunch of children, right? Now, you know, it's like, but between, and I might do a segment on this on the regular show at some point, but I think that both the trad and red pill movement are just very far extreme caricatures of what reality is actually like, right? Because on one hand, the red pill movement, some of them, not all of them, some of them say, like, sleep with 1 million women and never have kids and just be a playboy, live like Drake. Well, I guess Drake is not, actually, Drake is, okay, live like Future your whole life and, never have children or anything. And then the trad movement is like, you're not married at 18? What's wrong with you, bro? Bro, your girlfriend's wearing pants? It's so over. And, somewhere in between the two is a very healthy and normal state of human relationships, right? Where we understand, we're realistic about the world, okay? This whole idea of a trad wife, quote unquote, is a complete caricature. It is a farce. It's not real. But at the same time, a lifestyle sort of akin to that cliche is what you should ultimately want to pursue. But at the same time, I think what the red pill movement gets right is that if you as a man, like they're very big on this whole hard work, self-improvement type of thing. I think that's absolutely true. If you as a man do not create value or status by yourself, you are going to be ignored by society, and especially ignored by women, right? There's the 20-80 rule. Top 20% of guys get the bottom 80% of women. And so if you want to be in the position where you want to find a quote unquote high value woman to get married to, that the red pill movement is right about that. You have to better yourself as a man, right? You have to, whether that's working out, building up status, building financial independence, right? Which sometimes the trad movement criticizes that. They say it's too materialistic. I don't think it is at all, because I think in order to raise a traditional family in the 21st century, you need quite a bit of money. And so see what I'm saying, right? There's some ways that I think the red pill movement is more right, and there's some ways I think the trad movement is more right. And frankly, if you took the both aspects of it, the best and worst, you took the best, I should say, of both sides, you'd probably get what I kind of view as it. Whereas I think that both of them, their end conclusions are a little bit unrealistic. But if you combine aspects of the two, you get kind of, I don't know, the VinceDao philosophy, right? I don't know. I'm going to save the rest of this. I'll talk about this more extensively at some point. But I think there's a medium. I should draw a chart. Okay, there's a medium. We'll draw a Venn diagram. Okay, we need a Venn diagram on where the trads are right and where the red pilled are right. Okay, that's what we need.
They're judged only on the basis
it's kind of
hard. Hold on. There's no logical connection there.
To the advantage of women, largely, though.
No, hold on. You just said that.
Enclave Nationalist for $2 says, I will be learning about the Vietnam War tomorrow. I can teach you all about that. You don't need to go to school for that, okay? I'm a product of the Vietnam War, okay? I teach you, okay?
Woman sleeping.
I teach you, Enclave. I teach you all about that. That's my family. That's my heritage.
Around is directly related to her getting a job. That's the kind of
you
just made.
If I am
a Vince diagram, so true. All right, chat. Do you guys want to just wrap this up? Let's just go to super chats, okay? There was one more part I wanted to get to, which was on the OnlyFans stuff. But honestly, who cares? I think we get the point at this point. All right. We'll go to Super Chats now, chat. Okay, so Q&A time. You got questions or comments you want read and answered, thoughts on the panel, or you just want to donate to the podcast fund, whatever it is. All right, we're going to the Super Chats portion now because, we've been doing this for 2 hours. I think we get it at this point. I think we get it, okay? So what did you guys think? Let me know. We probably got about 30 seconds of John Doyle talking, okay? We need more John talking. In fact, that's one thing maybe I do want to look for. Does John ever actually say stuff? I don't know. Come on, John. Chase is on the podcast all the time. He's got to talk more. All right, anyways. Burgundy Blue for $10 says, we all need a palate cleanse after watching these libs. Could you react to Maple Leaf Forever by the channel InGen? It was the very first anthem of Canada before the libs changed it. It was very angelic and trad. Thank you for the $10. If it's music, it's probably copyrighted. But remind me on the next member block. On the next member block, we'll do it, okay? We'll do it. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. Dollar for $2 says, Vince, show the picture I sent. It's cool, I'd say. All right, let's try to pull it up. So I think dollar for dollar, what did he took his first flight or pro flight, whatever the term is. He wants me to show this to you guys, okay, chat? He wants me to show this to you. Let me try to blur out his little username. Okay. All right. So this is him, chat. This is him. He DM'd me this on Instagram. He said, Vince, I did my solo. Okay, he did his first solo flight, chat. All right, so that's dollar for dollar. He flew his first solo flight. So can we all get a round of applause? Okay, clapping emojis in chat for dollar on successfully not crashing the plane. Good job, dollar for dollar. All right, round of applause. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Carice says, I have a migraine from this. Hey, well, you're free. You are liberated. You are liberated because I cut it off. Small Graydon guy says, John Doyle is so cool. I wish he was real. This is true. John Doyle is not real. Okay. You wonder why it takes so long for him to post content? Because he's AI. He's literally AI. What would you do? How do you know he's not? He's AI. That's why he's so smart. You think real humans are that smart? I don't think so. I think he's AI. All right, chat, let's get to 150 likes, and it is 9:51. I will do super chats until 10:10, 10:15, which probably means 10:30. You know how I am, but still, that's what I'm going to say, okay? So we got 20 minutes or so. Let me read some of these here. Bushy says, hey. Calm down there, Bushy. Fed posting in chat. Adam Becker says he's charging. This is true. It takes a long time to restart the robot, okay? Inversion says, thoughts on KSI's recent boxing match. I can't super chat, by the way. Yeah, I saw who was he fighting? Fournier? Whatever. He hit that elbow, right? I didn't watch the fight. I just watched that moment of it. That was definitely dirty. That would have probably warranted a DQ or whatever. But at the same time, my understanding is KSI was winning the fight anyway. You know, inadvertent elbow. I don't know, right? It's hard to say. It's hard for me to say. Because KSI, from what I've heard, was still winning the fight. And yeah, you could argue, oh, the elbow wasn't intentional. At the same time, his style is a little wild. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how boxing works. But, I mean, I thought KSI probably genuinely won the fight. But it's just not the way you want to see the fight end, on the elbow, right? So that's what I'll say. I will still say, KSI, Jake Paul, when is it happening? They keep doing these stupid, oh, let me fight an actual fighter to test my ego. Who cares? Just fight each other. That is a $1 billion fight at this point. And honestly, how old is KSI? Like 29, 30? Okay. Like, there's going to be a point, KSI, where you're past your prime. And Jake is just going to be, you know what I mean? Like, you guys got to fight now, all right? We want to make this a trilogy. So let's just go do it. Let's just go do it, okay? I'm serious about that. I don't know what's keeping them up. We need to have the Jake Paul KSI fight now. We need it now. So true. 808 Spliff Mode, what a name, says, these girls is making me check up on my daughter every 1 minute to remind her that I love her, to make sure she doesn't ever turn out like them. So true, 808 Spliff Mode. But also, you got to be careful about that social media, okay? They go on they phone, and when they go on they phone, bad things happen. So, but thank you, 808 Spliff. So true. Dollar for $2 says, get Ad Rock and Mike D on the show at some point. I don't know who either of those people are, dollar for dollar. Who is Ad Rock? You mean Kid Rock? Who's Ad Rock? Ad Rock, American rapper. Who are these guys? I don't know who these guys are. Okay. Anyways. Oh, they're from the Beastie Boys? All right. Abby Zhang for $20, thank you very much, says, I will support your studio. I hope all is well. Thank you for the $20, Abby. Big donation from Abby. Here, I just to prove to you guys, I'm not BSing. Actually, no, I should not show my Amazon history because then it would. Let me try to crop it out. Okay. Do I need the receipts, chat? I want you to know this is a real thing we're working on. All right. Oh, here. Yeah, this doesn't show anything. Okay. Wait, let me see. XLR cable and then the microphones. Okay, we're working on it. It's happening. It's happening. You don't believe me? You know, he's just gonna say it and then he's not gonna do it. What do I look like to you? A liar? I mean, true, I did say I was gonna do street content and never did it, but I also never asked for money with the street content. Okay, this is real. We're doing this. We're doing this. Sheeny Beanie says, "Hey, what about the Mr. Miyagi voice?" I did not declare it that was what we were gonna be doing, but okay, fine. Abby Zhang for $20. Say, I help studio, I help all well. Arigato. Arigato. So true. So true. All right, let's see what else. Let's see, do we get anything on Streamlabs? Oh, okay, one thing. I will say, hope you guys have been doing well. But I was going to talk about this the other night, and I forgot. I totally forgot. I was going to talk about this in the Super Chat portion. So, the other night, chat, I found this playlist on YouTube called Playlist to Make You Feel Like a 19th Century Villain. That's what it was called. I clicked on it. It's all classical music. Phenomenal. Okay, phenomenal. And I'll be honest. I'll be just full disclosure. Last few weeks, I don't know what it is. I've been listening to garbage. Okay, like my music taste. I think it's because I went back to LA. That's what it is. Every time I go back to LA, I'd start listening to rap music again, and then just garbage music. Okay, not even music. And I listened to this classical music playlist, and I was like, this is music. This is phenomenal. And so that's my new thing, chat. That's my new thing is I listen to classical music. Like that's almost all I listen to now the last week or so. Now, the reason I bring this up, besides the fact that I'm now putting you on this too, so Google it if you want it on YouTube. It's called Playlist to Make You Feel Like a 19th Century Villain, if you're curious. But I want your input on this, okay? Because I had a certain individual on the members chat the other night. You know who you are. He said it was nerdy. He said it was nerdy and dorky that I like classical music. And I was like, I on one hand, I understand because all the band geeks. Hey, I played a violin. Na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na. Hey, do you want to come to my recital? I'm going to play Beethoven. Na-na-na-na-na. I get it. But, like, it's me we're talking about, okay? It's me. So I feel like if it's me, it's sophisticated. It's elite. It's cultured, right? And I said this too. Imagine this, okay? Vince, that's so nerdy. Okay, is it though? Okay, well then let's imagine the hypothetical scenario regarding the classical music question, okay? Imagine this. Imagine you're on a date, POV, and your date is Vince DAO, okay? Just imagine. Many women do imagine this. But anyways, you pull up, and your date has a designer watch on that he hangs out the window. He puts his arm out the window when he drives. Does he do it because it's comfortable, or does he do it to flex? Who knows, but he does it. He's like, what kind of music you listen to? You're probably like, oh, I'm a woman in my 20s. I listen to Drake, or I listen to Morgan Wallen. And I'm like, well, I listen to classical music. Boom. Swan Lake. Okay, Swan Lake comes on the radio. And here's this guy. Black, button-down shirt, designer watch, classical music on the radio. Be honest. Are you looking at that to the person? Be honest. Are you looking at that and you're thinking, wow, this guy's such a nerd. This guy's such a loser. Or are you looking at that and thinking either one of two things? Either this guy is a sophisticated elite, or he's an organized crime, which could both be true. You never know, right? You never know. But regardless, you're interested. You are interested by this person who listens to classical music and hangs a gold designer watch out the window when he drives? Be honest. I want women in chat to ask, okay? I want your input. Would you look at that and be like, this guy's a nerd? Or would you look at that and be like, this is an enigma. He's interesting. I think we know the answer. Bob Dog says poser. I'm not going to take the advice of men. You're just jealous. You're just jealous that I'm the Rizzler and you're not. This is just true. Okay? Dollar for $2 says, I've started simping for Riley Gaines. Well, at least you're simping for a straight woman. Okay? That's traditional at this point. Daniel McQuaid for $6.99 Canadian says, I've listened to classical music and the Bible in a Year podcast with Father Mike while I work and drive. Exactly. Thank you for the $6.99 Canadian. Absolutely. But they're going to call you a nerd. Hey, you listen to classical music in the Bible app? What a nerd. No, you just don't get it. You're just not on our level. This is true. Also, I can actually work with classical music in the background, because that's the thing, right? I'm a Zoomer, so if I don't have auditory stimulation, it's hard for me, okay? Like, I have to... And then, you listen to music, actual music, or not, I should say, you listen to non-actual music, as in modern music, or you listen to some YouTube video in the background. It's totally distracting. But classical music, you can actually work to it, Like, I listen to it when I'm playing chess or working, whatever, and it actually makes you better at it. It's not distraction. It's supplementary. Okay? GB says Vince is pipe smoking classy. It is. Of course it is. Oh, why are you smoking though? It's traditional. Okay, it's traditional. What you gonna say? Dollar for $, says Morgan Wallen is cringe. See, I don't agree with that. Let me tell you this though. Okay, I'm not the biggest fan of his music personally, but there is still something about Morgan Wallen that is right wing culturally when you think about it. Because here you have, there's a lot of country music stars out there that are totally woke and stuff, and Nashville loves them. But he's the most popular country music artist in the world. And, he never explicitly talks politics, but I think we know. Where he stands. You can kind of tell. And, he has a really good song about Jesus and stuff. And we just kind of know. And also he's uncancelable, right? He got canceled and now he's just bigger than ever. So I will say, I'm not the biggest fan of Morgan Wallen's music, but I will defend him. I think his presence in the culture is objectively right wing. And it is based that of all like the woke country music, he, at least who is non-political and Christian, he's number one by far. Like, it's not even close. I think Morgan Wallen is a right wing cultural force. I will say that. But many have said this. I wish now, now I wish I knew how to play the violin, chat. I really did. My mom, when I was younger, she was like, you play piano. She does not talk like that, but Asian parent stereotype. Okay. And I never got into it. Because I was like, what's the point of playing the piano? That's stupid. This is all stupid. I was never into music. She tried to make me into it. It just never worked. But imagine now I'm like mad. Suddenly last week, now that I'm into classical music, I'm mad. Imagine if I could play the piano or especially the violin, right? Because when I'm young, I would have just been an Asian nerd. Can you come to my recital? But imagine me now if I could just bust out a violin and just play Swan Lake. Like, that would be Riz. Like, that would be impressive. That would be sophisticated. So I'm really mad. I never learned how to play an instrument. I really am. Did you just say, Adam Becker, did you just say Toby Keith is epic, but Johnny Cash is mid? Tasteless. I don't hate Toby Keith. But that's tasteless. Come on, man. Johnny Cash is a legend. I don't want to hear no disrespect. All right. What time is it? 10:04. Okay. All right. We're closing out the bar. So, any last super chats you want to send in? We got about 6 to 11 minutes left. Send them in now or hold your peace until tomorrow night. Let me check if Streamlabs, we got anything on there. I don't think we did. All right. No, we did not. Okay, any last super chats you want to send in? Sheeny Beanie says you'd be Ben Shapiro. I just disagree. But even then, when Ben Shapiro busts out the violin, it's still cool. But even then, I would say that, no, because I'm Asian, so it's different. It's different. It would be an Asian stereotype. Alexia. See, you guys are just hating. Now I'm going to learn to play the violin out of spite, okay? When I'm 30 years old, one stream randomly, I'm just going to bust it out. Swan Lake. They're not ready. Okay? Dollar for $2 says, I love Jimmy Buffett. Thank you for the $2. And Burgundy Blue for $5 says, not... It's true. He says, not Asian enough to play violin, not Italian enough to play guitar. Literally the case. That's literally me, Burgundy Blue. That's literally me. Or you should really say not Italian enough to what? Sing opera? Didn't we invent opera? Okay? It's true. I'm in the middle. Literally in the middle. Can't do either. All I can do is sit on a podcast and talk about politics and stream to people on YouTube. That's all I can do. I wish I had cool talents. I don't, you know? My cool talents are speaking, and that's about it. And writing and stuff, okay? I don't have any talents that are, like, impressive. This is my problem. Like, imagine if I could just bust out the violin. Thompson Spence says a cello is a more manly instrument. I mean, true, but what are you gonna do? Carry a cello around? It's like the kids who play tuba. Do you guys ever in band? I was in middle school band for a year. Those kids who play tuba, yeah, it's manly because it's the biggest one, but they really just look stupid carrying their big tuba around. Oh, excuse me, kid, I'm getting through here. Yes, it is big, I guess, technically. But, in some ways, you would ultimately end up being a dork because you just have to carry around that gigantic... Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Did you guys ever have to deal with this middle school band? The tuba players. See, I was lucky. I had a trumpet. It fit in my locker. Everything was fine, okay? But these tuba kids, dude, they had to roll it around. Hey, excuse me. I need to roll my tuba, please. DNGs. Carrying a cello around is a power move. Yeah, it's a power move until, excuse me, I have to bring my cello. Can you excuse me? All right. Just saying. Bass is the best instrument. Well, listen, I just want to learn the violin because it's piano. I mean, because it's classical. Because you can like solo so many things on it. And it's just sophisticated, okay? Just sophisticated. This is what happens. I start wearing suits. In the content for 2 months. And all of a sudden, I don't know what's happening to me. I'm listening to classical music. All of a sudden, I want to learn violin of all instruments. Okay? Burgundy Blue for $2 says, alternative Vince plays violin and sings opera at the same time. This is true. If my genetics mixed correctly, this would be true. Bushy says, Destiny plays the flute. Well, I mean, yeah. A guy playing the flute, that's just wrong. Now, you might say, well, what about the violin? Isn't that kind of girly? No, it's not. That's a psyop. It's elegant. That's a girly word. I should say it's sophisticated. Okay? Fiddle is better than the violin. They're the same thing. Aren't they literally the same thing? Or is a fiddle actually like slightly different? I thought a fiddle is just a southern term for it. Let me see. Is a fiddle a violin? What's the difference? I'm Googling it. They're literally the same thing. They're the same picture. This is a violin. This is a fiddle. Aren't they literally the same exact thing? What's the difference? Okay, anyways, regardless. I could do that too, though. You're not ready for that, okay? I'm just out here, Swan Lake, whatever, classical. And then all of a sudden, everyone's like bored. Vince, can you shut up? Devil went down to Georgia. Okay? Could you imagine that? Johnny, rosin up and play your fiddle hard. Because hell's broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals the cards. And if you win, you'll get this shiny pot of gold. But if you lose, the devil will get your soul. You're not ready. You're not ready. I could do both. You're not ready for that. You're not ready for the world where we're fiddling and violining at the same time. You're not ready. You're not ready. All right. Everyone's just hating. Everyone's just hating tonight. I don't care. I don't care. One day I'm going to learn to play the violin. Probably not this year. I'm probably going to say it for like a month and then totally never even buy one. But still, you are not ready. You are not ready. Okay? I'm aware it's the same instrument, but fiddling is hotter than violin. Why can't you do both? We're going to do both. Okay? You're not ready. You're not ready when Swan Lake transitions into Devil Went Down to Georgia. You're literally not ready for this. You're not ready for this. He was looking for a soul to steal. So true. But he ain't gonna steal mine. Because I can play the fiddle. I'm fiddling. So true. So true. All right, any last super chats? It's 10:10. I don't think so. I'll BS for 30 more seconds and then we'll call it a night. Speed Stacking Maniac says, "Hi Vince. God bless you. Christ is Lord." Thank you, Speed Stacking Maniac. So true. Classical better than fiddle? No. Look, I'm not going to counter signal. I'm not going to counter signal the rich history of the American South. But I'll say they're both cool, okay? And I'm telling you, when we fuse the two, they're not ready. They're just not ready for this. They are not ready for this. Fiddles are a working class violin. They're the same thing. Yeah, everyone's saying they're the same thing. I knew it. I knew they're the same thing. I knew the last same thing. All right. Well, if that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, shout out Speed Stacking Maniac. Good to see you. Thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. We will be live tomorrow, hopefully with the return of the regular style of show. I predict. Might try to get a guest on. I don't know. But we'll be live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to leave a like on the stream before you go. Let's get to 200 likes. And yeah, see you guys tomorrow. Alpha moves only. God bless. And actually, let me see. Is there a YouTuber we can raid? We should do that. I never do that, and people do it to me, and I feel like we should do it. Let me see. Is anyone live that is my friend right now? I think is the KGB show live? Okay, they are. Chat. Go to should I have to share a screen or something? Hold on. Okay, just search it up. I'm not gonna. Okay, go to the KGB show. Okay, KGB letters. The KGB show. They're live right now. Go rate them. Go tell them Vince Dow sent whatever. Vince Dow gang represent whatever it is. Yeah. Okay. Go do that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Alpha moves only. God bless. Be sure to go do the raid. KGB show here on YouTube. And peace. See you guys. And subscribe to them, by the way. Go subscribe to them. And super chat them if you're one of my donors. Flex. Okay, see you guys. Here, I'm posting the link in the chat, okay? All right. Go do it. Go do it. My loyal army. All right, see you guys. Good night.